Welcome or welcome back to my channel. I'm Aso, this is Aso Tarot, and in today's Pick a Card reading, we are going to be getting messages from your higher self. So I wasn't planning on doing this reading, but it hit me very suddenly, and I felt like I just had to do this reading right now. So let's go ahead and look at what we are going to do in this reading. So for the free reading, which is up here, we are going to start with an amalgamation of tarot and oracle cards that I pre-shuffled while I was feeling the I need to film this reading right now vibes. And then that's going to take up a lot of the reading. But then after that, we are going to pull messages and see what your higher self would say to you, if they could say anything. We're also going to get some affirmations to help with any anxious thoughts or anything that might inhibit you from getting out of touch with your higher self or your soul self. We're also going to get guidance from your guardian angels and see what they want you to know. And then we're going to finish off with final guidance / the opportunity to use the final guidance as a healing assignment. So we will explain that in the reading. But if you are enjoying this reading and it is resonating, there will be an extended where we are going to be looking at messages from your person's higher self. So your person is whoever you are thinking about. But if whoever you're thinking about doesn't come through, then the person coming through is clearly someone that had a message they want to give you. But we're going to do the exact same thing that we did in the free reading. I pulled the same amount of cards and from the same card decks to pull your person's higher self message. Then we're going to see what their higher and their human self would say to you. So I'm going to pull separate channeled messages for each. We're also going to get advice to you from their higher self and see what their higher self wants you to know. We're also going to get guidance from your spiritual team about this connection. And then we're going to finish off with guidance and a little healing ritual, healing practice from the Rumi Oracle deck. So if you're interested in that, that will be linked down below. Definitely highly recommend checking that out if you're interested. We have a lot of fun in the extendeds, and I swear a lot more. I'm much more of a free bird. But with that being said, we have 4 different stacks of cards for you to choose from today. Starting with card stack 1, we have this tiger's eye, I forgot the stone name, with these moon carvings on top. And then for a stack of cards number 2, I have this Labradorite sun moon carving on top. And then for pile 3, I have this Lepidolite worry stone on top. And then finally, for pile 4, I have this rainbow clear quartz that is so beautiful. I may just have to let it stay on the screen a little bit longer because, like, look at those rainbows. But that will be for pile 4. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. It is absolutely okay to be drawn to more than one pile. Just take what resonates. Don't let the rest take from you. Do I have anything else to tell you? I don't know. Mercury retrograde is hitting me hard. Gotta stop putting mercury in my Gatorade. But with that being said, once you picked your pile or piles, you can go ahead and scroll down to the description box or the comment section where I will have all the timestamps listed below, as well as the links to the extended reading. Thank you guys so much for being here. I cannot wait to read your cards, and I will see you in your reading. Hi there, pile 1. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the tiger's eye with these little carvings on it, then this is going to be a reading on messages from your higher self. Now, if this resonates, there will be an extended where we're going to be looking at messages from your person's higher self. So if you're by your person, I just mean like the person that you are thinking of. But let's get into this reading. So to start, we have the moon. We have Star Mother, how can you mother yourself? We have the Moth with the Page of Wands. And we have the Page of Swords. We have Let It Go. It's time to let go of the negative thoughts that are consuming you. Don't waste your energy on them any longer. And we also have You're Protected, It's Go Time. You're currently being protected. The universe has your best interests at heart. Move forward fearlessly and have courage. We also have I Have Permission. We have the solar plexus chakra with the theme of independence. The trigger statement is, I'm just like my mother, father, etc. And the true statement is, I am free to choose. You are ready to break free of the conditioning that has bound you so that you may continue your journey of healing and growth. And finally, from the Hermit Tarot musical messages deck, it's a mouthful, we have the heart chakra with I love, healing, peace, empathy, love. And we have I Love You So by the Walters with the theme of disapproval. I just need someone in my life to give it structure. You're everything I want, but I can't deal with all your lovers. I'm going to pack my things and leave you behind. Please let me go. Oh, pile one, I just want to give you like such a big hug. I feel like you're having to do something very brave. And given that this is a general reading, like many of you may be at different stages in life, but the common theme that I feel no matter who you are or where you're at in your life is that you're ready to take a step towards something new and different that not only lights your heart up, but just makes you excited and makes you feel passionate. It brings you light, like a moth, like you're naturally drawn to it. Like it's just something that you either want to pursue, experience, or maybe it's even a lifestyle you want to adopt. But the biggest thing that I'm feeling, there's one group here specifically that I'm feeling where you may be on the threshold of graduating from school, whether it be high school, college, graduate school, something like that. And you may have like very like influential family members, like parents, for example. For others, I'm getting the vibe that you could be going through a really challenging time, like the ending of a significant relationship or the ending of a way of life that was maybe stifling. And I feel like there's this kind of complex emotion surrounding this shift and this change, whatever it may be for you, because of a multitude of reasons. One, I definitely think that there are people that you love and care about that maybe don't see why you would be making these changes, or maybe there's selfish motivations behind it for some of you where they may want you to continue to do the same thing that benefits them. For others, it could be that these people just don't really understand why you would want to do that. They can't put themselves in your shoes. Maybe they're thinking more from a fear mindset or from a place of security. Maybe they're worried about how you are going to survive with this shift. But for others as well, I feel like it's something that doesn't even have to do with survival or like well-intentioned and protective from other people, but rather this could even just be like judgment from people that don't understand the path that you are trying to walk down. And I know I already said it, but I really just do want to give you a hug. So my higher self is giving your higher self a big hug right now. And I just want to tell you how brave you are for choosing to choose yourself. How's that word count? And your higher self is coming through to tell you that it's okay to be afraid about these changes that you're making, and it is okay to feel all types of ways about it, and to have the excitement of something new with the sadness of what's leaving, with the frustration of not being understood, on top of the desire to connect with the people that are understanding you and have them see why you're so passionate about making this shift or why you're so passionate about following this path. And I think that one thing that your higher self really wants you to know is that this time, while it may be challenging and you know, obviously change in general is challenging, this is really going to help empower you and help you recognize that, one, you can't please everyone anyway, so you might as well please yourself. And two, it's okay for people to disapprove of what you're doing. You don't need other people's validation in order to follow what you love. Because when you love something or someone or something like that, you know, the love of that will most likely outweigh the disapproval or the judgment that you get from other people because of it. For some of you, I am hearing like, if you have like a motherly figure that passed on or that is still here with us, but maybe you don't get to see very often, and you have a positive relationship with them, I am like hearing that they are either watching over you or they've been thinking about you a lot, like praying for you. But I also see this here as a sign from your higher self that you're probably not being very kind to yourself. I feel like whatever shift that you're making, you're really trying to justify why you're making this shift from like logical places and from places of function and utility and practicality. And I feel like your higher self is trying to give you the permission to let go of that. The only reason you need to justify the path that you're taking is the fact that it's the one that brings you happiness. Or the one that you think will bring you happiness. It's the one that lights you up and makes you feel excited, makes you feel, for some of you, young again, or just makes you feel that, like, what's the right word? I'm hearing the word like invigorating. Like, whatever it is that you're trying to pursue, it's something that's clearly very meaningful to you and something that makes you excited. It makes you want to learn all about it. It makes you feel really passionate and creative. With these 2 Page of Wands here, like, this is definitely either something newer or you are younger and trying to do something a bit different. You totally don't have to be like, age here doesn't really matter. I just feel like whatever it is that you're shifting into, it is an energy of starting fresh. And like for some of you, for example, I am feeling like this energy, like you may be getting out of like a really difficult relationship where you may have been kind of controlled by someone else, or, you know, made to feel small, or made to like mold your behavior to appease their demands. So if you're getting out of that, first of all, I just want to say like how happy I am that that is the case for you. And if anyone else is in a situation like that, I just want you to know that you deserve kindness. Nobody ever deserves to be abused or controlled by someone else. And if that is the case, like, I just urge you, please, to seek help, or at the very least talk to someone about what you're going through, because everybody deserves to be truly loved and everybody deserves to be free to be themselves. And I feel like if you are one of those people that's coming out of that, maybe if you feel comfortable talking about your story in the comments, it might help some other people who are still struggling, but don't feel any pressure to do that. I just find that you guys have just such incredible stories, and they even move me to tears. Like, I almost want to cry just thinking about like how incredible you all are. And we may not realize it because we're all strangers and we don't necessarily get to see or talk to one another every day, but you know, our stories and our struggles are a lot, even though they may be different, the semantics of them, you know, the underlying energies and the things that we go through are often just very human at their core and very similar. And I don't know why I'm going on a whole dialogue about this, but I just want you to know that your story matters. And I think what your higher self is coming through to say is that, I'm hearing like the end of Hamilton, who lives, who dies, who tells your story. And I feel like the universe and your higher self are coming through to say, like, this is your time to start writing the story that means the world to you, that means the most to you. And I'm hearing magnum opus. So for some of you, you could be falling into or going into some creative venture that could turn out to be something really great, or something that builds into something that turns into like a life's work. And I just feel really called to say, like, to follow what lights you up, what ignites you. And I feel like your higher self is also saying, like, this is a time where you're going to have faith in yourself over the fear of the unknown. And I feel like your higher self is really coming through to say that, like, you can trust yourself and you can thrive in the way you deserve to, by following this path that you feel so passionately about. And I feel like one thing your higher self wants you to know as well is that, like, you don't need anyone's approval and you don't need anyone's permission to do this. Like, everybody is always going to have something to say. And if you're even on the internet, which you clearly are because you're here, hi, everybody has something to say about everyone, even though they don't even know what they're talking about. And so you just gotta let that be what it is, let that drivel go, and remember that none of them are living your life, and none of them know what you need. None of them know what your soul's journey is. None of them know why you're here. Only you know, and which you may not know, or the universe knows, but you're meant to discover that, and you're part of that process of creation. And there is nobody on this planet that knows what you need better than you. And your higher self is really coming through to say, like, it's okay to be afraid, but it is time to step into your shoes and recognize that nobody else is walking this journey for you, and nobody else has the right to tell you what you should be doing or feel entitled to bash or criticize what you're doing when they have no clue who you are, what motivates you, what's meaningful to you. Like, people just don't know. Everybody be up in each other's business rather than just focusing on themselves. And I really hope that changes, but you can be someone that helps be the change you want to see in the world, because by focusing on what you're passionate about, following the light, following the things that make you feel good and light you up, like that is going to inspire others to do the same. And that is also going to inspire others to do the things that they actually feel passionate about, despite the naysayers or despite the disapproval you might get from other people. I also think one thing you need to know as well is that even if, like, let's say you're not making a shift or you haven't made a shift, you may just be thinking about wanting to do things differently. Like, I'm getting the example of parenting. Like, maybe, for example, you've realized that, like, certain ways in which you've been parenting, like, you want to change that and you're wondering if it's too late. I'm not a parent, I don't know, but it doesn't hurt to try. But I also see as well here that, like, this message, I'm being brought back to this message because I think I got distracted, but your higher self just wants you to know that you deserve to be nurtured. And like I was saying earlier, you don't need logical or practical justifications to validate why it is you're making these shifts and why you're making these changes. You don't need any validation or any logical reason, first of all. But if the reason is solely so that you can discover more about yourself and follow your path, or the reason is I really love this thing, or I really want to try this out, it makes me really excited, that's good enough. Other people have different reasons for doing things, but yours don't have to be the same as other people's. And even if people don't understand it, that's not your problem. You can, I know this well myself, you can explain something to someone blue in the face until you're blue in the face, but you can't make them understand it. So I feel like you're really being encouraged to conserve your energy towards what you're wanting to move towards, what you're really excited about, and what lights you up, and recognize that anything that's trying to keep you held back, or anyone that, I would be careful of psychic attacks, and I don't mean like conscious ones, but rather stuff like, be careful who you talk about these shifts with or these changes with, because people, as well-meaning as they can be, may share their 2 cents, and it might create some discouragement, or it might make you feel less confident in yourself. So I definitely feel like your higher self is saying, like, hey, just be careful of who you communicate this stuff to, because it's not going to stop you ultimately, but it may be frustrating, or it may slow you down, or it may be something that you have to, like, spend time and energy working through in order to get it out of your mind. But I feel like the biggest things that your higher self wants you to know is that you can do this, you will make it, and that you are meant to thrive, and you cannot thrive in a situation where you don't love what you're doing, you don't love where you are, and you don't feel good about life. If you feel trapped, if you feel bogged down, if you feel uninspired and drab, like, that's not the life that your higher self wants you to live. Your higher self is leading you towards the exact paths and roads that scare/excite you, because that's where you're meant to go. Your comfort zone and the place you have been it's had its time, but it's no longer meant to be what guides you anymore. I definitely feel like you are meant to kind of forge your own path now, and you are being given the resources to do that by getting these passions and having the desire to learn about whatever things are aligned with this path. And I also just think that the biggest thing that you need to know is that you are an individual. Even though you do come from a family with a long line of genetics with certain patterns and habits and things like that, that doesn't mean that you have to be exactly like your parents, for example, or do what they did. You are allowed to forge your own path. And not only that, you are being encouraged to follow the path of love. And the path of love is the one where you choose faith in yourself over fear of the unknown, which is something I already said, which I was hearing faith over fear as I was laying the cards out. But I feel like for your group specifically, I'm like, yeah, but faith in what? For some of you may not even believe in any spiritual stuff, which is absolutely fine. Like, I'm still so happy that you're here despite that, because, it doesn't matter whether you believe in this or not. If it helps you, that's all that matters. And I feel like what you need to know is that this is a lot about you believing in yourself and trusting yourself, because I feel like the universe has been giving you ample signs that you're headed in the right direction, but I feel like you are worried about, I'm hearing fumbling the bag, or you are worried about self-sabotaging or being the one to mess everything up. And I feel like what you need to know is that the only way you can mess everything up is to give up completely and stay in a box that is way too small for the beautiful person that you are meant to be. So I feel like your higher self is really just coming through to say to be kinder to yourself and more nurturing towards yourself, especially because these changes aren't easy. And if there are people being cruel or unkind to you or projecting their own fear onto you, you know, it might be really hard for you to stay centered and strong in what you believe in and what you're moving towards. And so with this Star Mother here, one thing your higher self really wants you to know is that you deserve to give yourself more grace and more compassion, because it is really hard to, like I said already, make changes in general, but to make changes that might ruffle feathers or make changes that require you to stand up for something that other people may not agree with or other people may disapprove, like that takes big cojones, and you have them in spades. But sometimes it's okay to recognize when you're hurt or when you're frustrated or when you're feeling bogged down, and just be kind to yourself and say, hey, that's okay. Like, we're doing a lot. We're making big moves and doing big things. And if not yet, it seems like you certainly will be. And you deserve to have that compassion towards yourself, and you deserve to remember that, you know, even though you're adults are just children in big bodies. And sometimes we all just need to tell our own inner child or ourselves that we are loved and that we deserve all the things that we're working towards, and that it's okay to be hurt by the negativity outside of us or within us. And also recognize what negativity within us might be sabotaging our ability to go in this new direction. And so one thing I think your higher self wants you to know as well is to be very careful of what you're thinking about yourself. And if you are thinking negative things, to try and either let it flow away or redirect it in a more positive or neutral manner, whichever is more comfortable for you. I find sometimes like replacing negative thoughts with positive thoughts doesn't feel as genuine as like neutral thoughts. So if you feel more comfortable with neutrality than like positivity, feel free to do that as well. Mix it up, do whatever you want. But negativity is not going to help you in this case. But what I do believe is that you are headed towards a really, really wonderful stage in your life where you are going to feel so badass and so much more like yourself. And I feel like what's happening right now is you're giving yourself the permission to explore and discover who you actually are and what actually has meaning to you. And the hard thing about that is that people that haven't been on that journey, they can't understand why other people would want that or why other people would do that. But that's not your problem. And I think that this is going to be a very empowering time for you, where you realize just how important your dreams are, how important your goals are, and how important it is that you be your own best friend and be that advocate for yourself. And your higher self is also one of your own best friends who is more than happy to help guide you along this path. But I feel like with the moon here as well, one message your higher self has for you is that if you've been really trying to manifest soul family, like whether romantic or platonic, I'm getting more of a platonic vibe, but it could absolutely be romantic as well. These changes that you're making are guiding you right towards those types of people. In fact, I think you're going to make some connections with whatever shifts that you're making and whatever new things you're trying. Sorry, I'm burping. I think you are going to meet people that really just resonate with you on a soul level, that will also not only just make life richer, because beautiful friends make life so much more fun, but also make you so happy and glad that you took that risk to make those changes, because you wouldn't have met these other people otherwise. And I feel like these people are really going to uplift you and really going to be a healing source for you, especially after a long period of time where you've maybe felt misunderstood, or at the very least, entire parts of you have gone unseen and unacknowledged by the people that you've been around. And that's not necessarily a fault on them. People can only meet us as deeply as we're willing to go ourselves. And I think that part of you is just meant to find people who understand your path and your journey, because they're on similar ones as well. And so I feel like more than anything, what your higher self wants you to know is to once again, actually, the fact that this is coming through 3 times in this reading, like I would actually write this quote down or hold on to it, but not that it's my quote, just writing it down for yourself. But I guess the quote is to have faith in yourself over fear of the unknown. Faith in yourself over fear of the unknown, because you can handle it and you're an incredible being. And I am just so excited for the path that you are heading down. And I think Tiger's Eye could actually be a really good stone for you, because Tiger's Eye is all about bravery. And if you are interested in Tiger's Eye, I'm also wearing this little blue Tiger's Eye, which I really enjoy blue Tiger's Eye. And I think there's also red Tiger's Eye, but blue Tiger's Eye specifically is more geared towards the throat chakra. So if you need courage to speak your truth, I think blue Tiger's Eye is great for that. But Tiger's Eye in general, just 10 out of 10 stone, and a great one to help give you courage and fierceness and all that good stuff. So I'm going to go ahead now and get some channeled messages from your higher self and see what your higher self wants to say to you. Which I just cut the deck, and if this doesn't come out, you need to know it anyway. You are enough. You always have been. You always will be. Release attachment to relationships and achievements to feel worthy. Yes, that is so true. And I feel like too, if you have a sibling, for example, that maybe you've always been compared to or treated like, well, why can't you be more like them, or something like that, I just want you to know, like, first of all, I'm so sorry that you've had to experience that, and I'm sorry that your sibling has too, because I'm sure it's probably not comfortable for either of you. But you know, I just want you to know, like, just because certain people can't see the value of what you bring doesn't mean it's any less valuable. But also, I just, like, need you to know that you don't need to be like your siblings. You don't need to follow their path in order to be valid and successful. I mean, my older brother and I, we are so stinking different, but we both forged our own paths and found our own ways in life. And, you know, neither path was right or wrong. They were just what worked for both of us. And, you know, so if you ever find yourself comparing yourself to like a cousin or a sibling or like a close family friend, just remember that, like, you both have your own past, and that's okay. You don't need to be comparing yourself or treating yourself like you're less than, or worrying that you're less than because you're not following their path. Period. Anyway, pile one's higher self. What messages do you have for pile one, please? All is necessary. Without darkness, there is no light. Like a lotus flower, you can grow from the mud and bloom in the dark. This makes me think, I don't know if anyone just watched the most recent season of Drag Race, but it just makes me think of Anitra. She did that lotus dance, but maybe a lotus flower, or lotus dance in the finale, but maybe lotus flower could be significant for you. And I also feel like as well, for a lot of you, this could be like a light at the end of the tunnel type of experience that you're having, where like maybe you've been stuck in darkness for a while. And I feel like one thing that your higher self wants you to know is to really embrace this lighter period coming, because not only do you deserve to feel it, but also, like, life is not meant to be lived solely in the darkness, and you might be anticipating like when that darkness is going to come back. And I think the biggest thing is, like, all is necessary. Like, darkness and light are always going to be working with each other. But it's important to remember that the more light that you have access to, the easier the dark times are. And the more light you have access to, the more awareness you can have around your dark times and what maybe contributes to that darkness, if it's inside of you or outside of you. Like, there's just a lot of awareness that can come. And just to know that it's okay. Like, even if when following a path that you absolutely love, there are going to be times where you feel less motivated. There are going to be times where you don't feel great. And there are still going to be challenging times. But at least you're doing something that's more aligned with you than having those dark times and be even more miserable. I don't know. I'm just trying to... just giving my thoughts, my 2 cents. Okay. Pile one's higher self. What else do you want to say? Be here now. The present moment is the answer. It's all we really have. The future is just a child of the present. Focus on now. And that's a big thing too. Like, I always talk about divine timing. Like, divine timing is not a date on the calendar. It's created every single day by like our thoughts and our actions and what we choose to do or not do. So it's important to remember that. Yes, we have be confident, shine your light, take up space. You don't need anyone's approval, and you deserve to be proud of who you are. Like, yes, okay, this one. Please screenshot that. Please, 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 because it is so true, it is so real, and you deserve to feel confident. And the more you explore whatever new path you're following, the more you just give yourself permission to explore it, be involved with it, whatever it may be, like the more confident you will be in yourself. But honestly, confidence too can also just be about being willing to stand up for yourself and not take anyone else's crap. So just know that you don't have to sit and take someone's negativity or abuse. Like, you deserve better than that, and anyone who is treating you that way does not deserve to be around your light, period. But we also have, it is safe to relax because the universe has your back. Your divine purpose is to enjoy your life. Absolutely. And I feel like your higher self is saying, so now we got to make those changes so you can enjoy your life because you deserve it, bestie. I feel like your higher self wants to call you bestie. But on the back of the deck, we have be what you seek. Let your desires inspire you to transform. Match the vibration of what you want. And so I think especially if you're trying to manifest soul family, like, be what you seek. Be that type of friend that you want to have. Be that type of friend you want to spend time with. But we're going to look at some, I like this deck. It's called Less Anxiety Affirmation Cards. As an anxious bitch myself, I find them to be very useful. So let's see what this deck wants you to know. Pile 1, Spirit. Or I guess pile 1's higher self. What affirmations could be helpful for pile 1 moving forward? Breathing slowly in and out, I feel the life force inside of me. My body will tell me what it needs, and I promise to listen. I talk about this a lot, but definitely pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. If you feel uplifted and like good, that's probably a sign that that person is a good person to have in your life. And if you feel drained and crappy, you may want to, like, after spending time with someone, you may want to, like, maybe consciously not put up walls, but like maybe distance yourself. Because here's the thing, like, it may just be something temporary, like maybe that person is going through something or something like that. Obviously it's a case-by-case basis, but if they're consistently negative or they're consistently draining, you might want to, like, pay attention to that and maybe do what you can to kind of minimize the effect that they'll have on you in whatever way works best for you. I can't control the things that happen to me, but I can control how I react to them. I can choose my attitude. Yeah, and I feel like your higher self is just really encouraging you to not take on the negativity that might be spewed your way for you straying out and doing something different. Like, recognizing that you can't choose where someone else is on their path. It's not your job. It's honestly none of your business, like, where they're at and what they're doing. Just focus on you and focus on the fact that you deserve to feel good about these changes you're making. It's so awesome. Just breathe. Let things be. Repeat as many times as necessary. So I definitely think that when you are really struggling with negativity, or just really, like, if you find yourself getting paralyzed with, like, fear, I think you're really being encouraged to do, like, breathing techniques or breath work. I would highly recommend looking into breath work. Breath work is awesome because, like, air is free. So, you know, really great way to help yourself. Let's see. Let's get one more. Pile 1's higher self. Thank you. I will form a connection to what I focus on. I am worthy of gently focusing on myself. Yes, this is wonderful because you deserve to have that connection with yourself. And the more you connect with yourself, the more you'll be able to recognize your needs. And the more you're able to recognize your needs, the better you can meet them. And the more easily life will flow because you're in the flow with yourself. You're in the flow of what you need. You're satisfied, you're fulfilled. And because your cup is full, then you can give to others from what runs over. And that way you don't have to worry about straying into, like, that territory of overcompensating and giving everything away and leaving nothing for yourself, but rather having a healthy balance of connection and with yourself and others and all that good stuff. But also on the back of the deck, we have I am more important than the things I need to do. And yes, that so important. Remember that. But now I want to get some messages from your guardian angels / higher self. This is technically a guardian angel deck, but I also just think it's really pretty and I just want to see what they have to say. So pile one's higher self / guardian angels, what would you like pile one to know? Okay, so okay, well, you guys already saw this one, so let me do this one first. Eternity. Gently move your awareness from the external world to a world of light within your heart. Allow each breath to heal you as you drift to a place beyond time. Eternity exists within you, forever sparkling like a diamond. You are, in essence, a shining star, forever transforming to ever greater light. And on the back of the deck, we have relax. There is plenty of time to do and achieve all you desire. Place your hands gently on your heart and allow your breath to guide you to a quiet space within. Imagine yourself bathed in golden light flowing from the eternal heart of God, or whatever you believe in. I, your guardian angel and higher self, am with you. / higher self. You will accomplish more. Wait, no, not / guardian angel and higher self. I guess we are all one, so they are the same. I don't know. I'm not going to go into that. Allow me into your heart. You will accomplish more by focusing on that which is most important in life, love, and doing what you love. So let's see what these two have to say to you. We have guardian angel, trust. All unfolds in perfect timing. You are one with divine will. Focus only on love, and all you truly desire will manifest at the most perfect moment. Be patient. I, your guardian angel, and also your higher self, are watching over you. And we have guilt. Yes, you needed this one. That is the feeling that I was trying to pick up on, and I don't know why. Like, as a gal who feels that a lot, I don't know why I didn't pick up on that, but this is so true. Like, you may feel very guilty about the changes that you're making, and you don't deserve to. You deserve the best. Anyway, you do not need another's approval to feel worthy of love. Regardless of what you've done or what you think you've failed to do, from your soul's perspective, there's neither right nor wrong. From every experience in life, is here to help you expand your awareness of love so that you may embrace ever greater spheres of wisdom. You've done nothing wrong. You have done nothing wrong. Let me repeat that. You have done nothing wrong by choosing yourself, period. So, with that being said, I'm going to finish this off with this deck called the Therapy Toolkit, and I'm just going to pull one that might be useful for you, and then we're going into the extended where we are going to be channeling messages from your person's higher self and kind of doing this exact same format just with like different cards, like different message cards and things like that, and different guidance cards. So if you're interested, that will be linked down below, but if not, that's totally cool. I'm just grateful you're here. There are plenty of ways to support me and show your appreciation, so I'm very grateful to any way that you can, whether it's letting the ads play in the background, just liking the video, that's super helpful, subscribing, all that jazz, or just leaving me a nice little comment. I appreciate that too. I'm just grateful you stopped by. I really don't know why I'm talking like this, but I really do enjoy it, and I really am grateful you're here, and I hope you enjoy my little voices too. Anyway, let's go ahead and see. Pile one, Spirit and their higher self. What would you like pile one to ponder moving forward from this reading? Okay, we have this little dead plant. Death and bereavement. We may experience a flurry of attention and sympathy immediately after a bereavement, but as normality resumes, attention can wane, leaving us alone with our grief. Death is a fundamental part of being human, and most will experience a bereavement or several in their lifetime, and the grief that follows in all of its nuances, including anger, denial, melancholy, and sadness. Considering this, grief and bereavements should deeply connect us, yet many find that their loss is quickly forgotten or ignored. Perhaps we do not want to be reminded of our own mortality. Perhaps we feel helpless and awkward around something so seemingly final. If you've experienced bereavements, how did you experience the loss within yourself? Were you able or allowed to express your feelings? What fears do you carry around death, your own or others, and how does it influence the way that you live? So this is really interesting to finish off with, because I really do think for some of you, even if this isn't a literal death, like there could be past, past people that you've lost that affect your ability now to choose yourself or affect your ability to do what's right for you. Like maybe, for example, you lost like a parent and the other parent is dependent on you, or you feel responsible for taking care of your other parent or something like that. I don't know why that example came through specifically, but this could also be a metaphorical death, a death of a way of life, a death of something that you were used to. No matter what, though, I feel like you really do deserve to feel your feelings and if this card is useful at all, I will hold it up so that you can look at it more. But pile 1, I am going to go ahead and move things over to the extended now. So if you are leaving me here, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background, because like I said, that is one of the simplest and easiest ways to support me and show appreciation for my channel and help me continue doing the thing that I love. But if you would like to support me in other ways, like I said, you can check out the extended. You can like the video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates, and you can subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. Shout out to my notification squad, you guys are the best. If you want me to see your comments, I usually see them when I first upload. I also have my candles. Be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off, as well as my merch and my social media, which is all linked down below. So had to leave you guys with one last little burp, but thank you guys so much for watching and for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 2. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose this Labradorite sun and moon, I'm standing up because I just want to make sure you get the maximum pretty stone effect, then this is going to be your reading on messages from your higher self to you. So if you want a full breakdown of the reading, there is one in the intro, but we're just going to go ahead and start by getting into it. So to start, we have Starseed, which in this deck represents the Fool. We have Anna, grandmother of Jesus, seeding the light, laying foundations, divine plan. I was actually wondering if she was going to come out in these readings, because when I was shuffling with this deck specifically, I was hearing this card's name. It's so funny because I just heard in my head Pixar didn't happen, but it's like, you just have to trust me, I guess. We also have the Starfish with the 2 of Pentacles, and we have the 6 of Cups. I don't like that there. Okay, that's better. We have Sign. This card brings you the validation you have been seeking. This is a sign to take action on whatever it is you have been contemplating. And we also have Believe in yourself. You have the power to succeed just like everyone else does. We have the Sacral Chakra with the theme of passion. The trigger statement is, I am scared. And the true statement is, when I am vulnerable, I am at my strongest. Reconnect with your feminine energy and pursue something that ignites your fire. Open the gates of your fortress and explore. Open the gates of your fortress sounds like dirty. I don't know, am I the only one thinking that, or do I just have a rotted brain? And we also have I am a creator. Yes, you are. Okay, finishing off with 2 musical messages from our queen, the Hermit Tarot. Feel free to check her out if you haven't. We have Trust with the song Dangerous by the XX. I don't know how to say that. They say we're in danger, but I disagree. If proven wrong, shame on me. But you've had faith in me. They say you are dangerous, but I don't care. And we have Optimism with the song is With Thoughts by Art versus Science. I saw a boy who made a rose. To give him in return, I made an airplane. Keep on thinking beautiful. With thoughts we create the world. Such a long way to go, but it feels like I'm home. Okay, pile 2. When I am looking at like your spiritual team, which is kind of weird because I don't get visuals like this all the time, I see like your higher self and like your angels and your guides just like cheering you on and just being so joyful. Like there's just this feeling of like rejoicing. And I have to guess that that's probably because you've made some important stride recently, or you've made some important discovery recently that is leading you to a fresh beginning, and a beginning that is not only aligned with like your soul's purpose, but also one that is of service to the world around you or the people around you. But the biggest thing that I'm getting here is that you don't trust yourself or your ability to do this at all. And the biggest thing that your higher self wants you to know is not only can you do it, but you are going to be able to accomplish things beyond your comprehension. And it's actually so cool. I kind of want to put Anna, grandmother of Jesus, up here and this starseed card down here, because they literally look like they're related, don't they? And this Anna, grandmother of Jesus card talks all about how Anna, Jesus's grandmother, you know, she set up the foundations to make it so that Jesus could be birthed into existence, obviously, because, you know, we all want to come from someone. And also she laid the foundations for the divine plan of, you know, Jesus coming to this world, spreading Christ consciousness, spreading this message of love and compassion and forgiveness. But she didn't necessarily get to see the product of all of her work. And oh my God, I want to cry. Like, I got just this, for some of you, you may have a grandparent or a mother. It's definitely like, I guess it doesn't have to be a feminine figure, but ancestors coming through really strongly that are, I think part of the reason for this energy of rejoicing is because if they're not with you anymore, they're watching over you, and they are seeing the product of their hard work be something that has set you up for more success and be able to do things that they could have never accomplished in their own lifetime. But I feel like in a way, I'm hearing pay it forward, and I feel like in a way you're doing that as well. You may be setting your lineage up, or just anyone that you come in contact with that's like a meaningful connection, setting them up for success in ways that you can't even imagine. This might all sound a little confusing, because I feel like the biggest thing that might be confusing about all of this is that you may not have an idea of what it is you're meant to do. You may have an idea, and by meant to do, I don't mean like career. It could be career, but this is deeper than like career. This is the reasons you were put on this planet, the things that are going to make life truly meaningful and fulfilling for you. Those are the like, why am I here questions that I'm kind of feeling. And I feel like you've been getting answers about that. But I think the challenging thing that your higher self is coming through to say is that your mind may be overcomplicating this understanding and this discovery that you're going through. The fact that we have the Six of Cups here, and I am a creator, you're really being reminded that you don't need to know the way forward. This is just a process of trial and error, but also I feel like your higher self wants you to know that you're putting way too much pressure on yourself already, and this is not meant to be a process that is strenuous and stressful. This is a process that is meant to be freeing, calming, relaxing, uplifting. I don't know what jasmine does as like an herb. I like don't know what like plants do, because I only go outside like twice a year. But someone that knows things about like plants and stuff should really like leave a comment. I don't know why I said it like that, but I just thought it just sounded so funny right there. Like, I don't know what a plant does, but I really don't. But with that being said, maybe your name is Jasmine. Shout out to all the Jasmines out there. Or maybe like Aladdin is significant or something like that. But yeah, shout out to all the Jasmines. But with that being said, and shout out to all the Annas as well. We got Jasmines, we got Annas, and Jesus's, or Jesus's, however you say it. Anyway, I'm getting distracted, okay. And I think that distraction is also a part of this as well. I feel like you may be kind of avoiding kind of deeper truths that you know are there. It's like you've been given truths that you've accepted and integrated as like, okay, these are my next steps. This is what I'm meant to be working towards, or this is what is meaningful to me. But when it comes to practical implementation of this, I think that is where you are getting tripped up, because you may not know what to do, or you may be getting in your own head, or you may be thinking too far into the future, thinking too far into where you want to be, that the thought of taking the first step is almost immobilizing. So I feel like the first thing that your higher self wants you to know is to take a step back and to recognize that your head is not going to be your most useful asset in this situation. Right now, I feel like you're really just being encouraged to create in general, and to broaden your ideas of what creation and creativity actually is. And also to recognize that creation as a commodity is not the same thing as creation from a place of purity and from a place of soul. Like, I feel like you might be having a hard time being in your creative energy because your brain might be saying like, well, how can I monetize this? Or how can I make this, how can I use this to flex on the haters? Like, not that you're saying that, but like, you know what I mean? Like, a finance bro hears that you're doing something creative, how are you gonna monetize that? Like, I definitely feel like the finance bro dialogue may be playing in your head. And I feel like one thing that your higher self is saying is that you don't need to know how your success will come. You don't need to know how your path will unfold before you take it. The beautiful thing is that your future is not written in stone, and what you are meant to achieve is not written in stone. It is something you are creating every second of every day. And what your higher self wants you to know and understand is that you may be giving your power away, likely unintentionally, through not even like conversation with other people, but just messages and ideas that you may get from media or from the greater world at large, where you may be trying, like, let's say, for example, I'm trying to come up with an example because like the semantics each of you may be going through could be so different, but the underlying energy is all the same. And it's essentially like you're ready to do things in a way that is less rigid and methodical and more freeing and sporadic. And I think that if you are someone that is typically more type A, or someone who feels like they need to know what they need to do before they do it, I feel like this process may be really challenging, but also very freeing, because what it's meant to do is get you to trust yourself more and trust your gut more and trust what you feel you're passionate about, and just trust the process of creation. You know, creation often does not happen by thinking in, well, creation, you can't paint a painting by thinking about the image you want in your head. You got to paint the thing. And it's probably not going to look the same thing as it is in your head. And it might take time and a lot of technical skill to even closely match that. But even then, the value of whatever you create is not less than because it doesn't match the image of what's in your head. You may think that because you've placed an expectation on your creation, but in reality, you need to have no expectations, because that's when you get to be surprised, and that's when you have the freedom to be open to multiple and unlimited possibilities of creation. And I think that this is what your higher self is wanting you to know, is that you do not have to hold yourself to one form of creation or one form of doing things. It is okay to change things up. And I feel like the one thing that you need to know is that, like, especially if you do have a job or you're in school and a lot of your time is spent in a state of consciousness where you are having to be very regimented and organized, or if you're really very much, you know, in a sort of like field or something that just requires you to be in your conscious linear mind a lot, creativity could be incredibly healing for you and very, like, it feels like a deep breath for your soul. But even if you're not in a field like that, you might find that you're still thinking according to that, you may still be thinking in a way that is more aligned with the type of thinking you would need if you were working in an office, for example. Like, maybe you're an artist and you're thinking like, I'm working like I'm in an office. It's not going to work for you. Like, art needs inspiration, art needs spontaneity, art needs an artist that's actually inspired and not stuck to the shackles of logic. Art is not meant to be logic. And it's interesting, we've got art versus science here, which obviously is an artist, but I feel like there's just a lot of overthinking here and a lot of self-doubt, and I feel like your higher self is coming through to say, whatever action you have been contemplating, it's time to take it, but also you need to trust yourself and let go of the need to know how things are going to turn out, and let go of the need to figure everything out. Just try. It's like, if there's one thing your higher self wants you to know, it's that it's okay to be a flop, because we learn more from our flops than we do our wins. And through flopping a lot, we can actually get kind of good at something. So I think that this is just meant to be a really freeing process for you, where you kind of let go of the conventions you've been holding yourself to and instead trust where you're being guided and be present with yourself in a way where you catch yourself when you're falling into old habits or old ways of thinking that aren't aligning with the person you're becoming. You have special, beautiful gifts, and we can't ignore this star seed here. You know, if you feel like a fish out of water sometimes, if you feel like you are from a different planet or that Earth is just foreign to you, this next phase of life is going to be a beautiful opportunity for you to get closer to the Earth and get closer to its inhabitants and to all of life on this planet. Because whether you feel like you are Starseed Sally or you have no idea what I'm talking about, every single person here deserves to cultivate a connection with the planet that we live on. And I feel like for you, you know, cultivating that connection and grounding that connection is going to help you feel more comfortable grounding the inspiration you have into the 3D realm. And also, the more you do that, the less, hopefully less critical you'll be of yourself. And also, the more skill you'll gain while you do it. Nothing will ever be perfect, but I feel like you really are just on the precipice of such creative and emotional freedom. And even if you feel trapped in like your regular life, like this creativity or this outlet like could be something really helpful for you. But also, this is in general, if you've been thinking about wanting to make a change, or you're reaching a breaking point where you're like, my life needs to change, I need to change the way I'm doing things, your higher self is coming through to say, trust in that. Trust that things do need to change. And start asking yourself, you know, when I was young, how did I see my life going? What were the things that gave me meaning? But also, what are the things that give me meaning now? What's not working? What is working? Like looking at all of those things, but then also your higher self wants you to understand that you are a creator. You don't have to, like, you don't need permission or like a license to be creative. To be human is to be creative. And in our modern society, like, we have lost touch of that creativity in a lot of ways because we either don't have time, we're exhausted, we got kids to feed and dishes to do and lawns to mow, and we got shit to do. But that doesn't mean we can't take some time to be creative. But also, like, we just forget how to do those things. Like, but the beautiful thing about being creative is that you don't have to learn. You just do it. Like, with a lot of things in life, you kind of just have to do it and trust the process. You know, you can go to classes and things like that, but ultimately you can create the reality that you want, and your higher self is coming through to say that you're laying the foundations for that to happen, and that it's time to trust yourself and take whatever leap of faith you have been contemplating. And if you haven't been contemplating one at all, it's time to start being open to different possibilities. Because I think one thing that you may be struggling with as well is tunnel vision. Like, you may be very focused on certain elements of your life, or very focused on certain fears that maybe making these changes would bring about, or maybe making these changes could potentially, like, you have fears around like what the outcome of making these changes could be, or consequences of making these changes. And I feel like your higher self, one, wants you to know that those fears aren't even real yet. And if they do come true, you'll face them and you'll handle them. Kind of the funny thing, and I will say from personal experience, like, some of the things that I have been most afraid of have been things that ended up happening to me. And even though they were hard and they sucked, I was able to be present through those processes and look back after and be like, oh, my worst fears happened and I'm still here and I'm okay. And in fact, I'm learning so much from it, and I've gained so much wisdom from it, and I'm so much stronger than I thought I was. Like, those are the kinds of things where we don't know what we're truly made of until those things are brought to our doorstep, and we have to face them, and there's nothing, and we can't control it. But those are the things that, you know, the choices that we make and how we respond to them that make us who we are. And what your higher self wants you to understand is that you are not your thoughts. You are not the projected ideal image of yourself that you perceive being your future. You are who you are now, and who you are will be reflected in the choices that you make and the things that you do and all of that jazz. We know that. But what your higher self wants you to understand is that certain mental limitations that you're placing on yourself don't need to be there. And in fact, the more you challenge those mental limitations and challenge those beliefs that you have about yourself and what you're capable of achieving, the more you will realize that you can create, like I said earlier, things beyond your most wild imagining. And so I feel like your higher self is really saying to trust yourself and trust where this path is leading you, and trust where your guides are leading you, and trust that you have the ability to succeed and you have the ability to face challenges when they come, and that everything may not be perfect. There may be challenges, there may be strife sometime, but that doesn't mean that you can't handle it. That doesn't mean that you can't grow from it. That doesn't mean you can't turn it into gold. You can't alchemize it. You can. So I feel like too, one thing I'm getting your guides and your higher self. So you must just have a lot of spiritual energy around you. But I feel like especially with the Six of Cups being here, there's this feeling of needing to either get in touch with your inner child in some way where maybe you're not feeling very much magic in your life right now because you're just, you've really been stuck in the material realm doing the things like mowing and all that crap. Or maybe you just don't know how to connect with your inner child. And I think the thing is that you don't need to connect with your inner child by like watching Bob the Builder, like unless you want to. You can connect to your inner child as an adult, like with things that you find interesting as an adult. Like being present with your inner child is often just being present with yourself and taking note of the sensations that you feel when you're doing something like creating art or making music or listening to music or connecting with a loved one or connecting with an animal, anything that just gets you in your heart space, feeling connected to love and in your present moment, seeing the magic. Like when your brain is occupied by worries and fears and anxieties, you miss out on so much of life. And if anyone wants to take, oh my God, my guides are roasting me right now. If anyone wants to take that little tidbit and at me later, because I'm an anxious bitch that does that way too much, feel free. I'm going to forget about that, and then someone's going to tag me, and I'm going to be like, damn, they really got me. Sorry I'm rambling so much in this one. I must just be really comfortable with you guys. But with that being said, I feel like the biggest thing your higher self is saying is that it's time to stop treating your life like you're an outside observer. It's time for you to actually live it and experience it and challenge yourself when it comes to those fears and those worries, and challenge yourself to handle those and put those in check when they come, because those are the things that are going to inhibit your ability to make the most of every moment. And I feel like one of the biggest things that your higher self is coming through to say is that it's time to stop focusing on the destination and start with the first steps, and just start somewhere small and start somewhere that's a little bit of a leap, but not like a giant motorcycle jump across the Grand Canyon. You know what I mean? We're here to just be ourselves, not evil Knievel. So I guess overall, the biggest thing that your higher self wants you to know is to get out of your head and into your body, to trust where you're guided intuitively. And if you can't hear your intuition, it's time to do some form of brain dump, whether that's by writing down all your anxious thoughts or meditating or exercising, whatever it may be, where you can get out some of that nervous energy in your head, and you'll find that things flow a bit easier. But the thing is that when you're passionate about something, when something is truly meaningful to you, it won't matter what other people think. It won't matter the disapproval you might get or the rejections that you might get, because ultimately the love that you have for something will always greatly overpower the pain or the sadness or the challenge of dealing with, outside disapproval or rejection or things like that. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead now and see what your higher self would say to you. I'm trying to think, do I need to summarize everything a little bit more? More than anything, I think that, your higher self just wants to remind you that you create your reality. Don't let your brain tell you what's possible. The universe will show you what's possible. And it starts with you believing in yourself and being crazy enough to follow that little inner voice of yours. And if you can't hear it, you need to gag your brain, which in that case is, you know, doing the things that I listed. But with that being said, while I shuffle this, if this is resonating, there will be an extended where we're going to be looking at messages from your person's higher self. They have been quite interesting so far. I've only done one, but they were very interesting. So if you are interested in checking that out, that will be linked down below. Let's just give us one more good shuffle. Okay. Pile 2's higher self. What guidance do you have for pile 2 at this time that could be most beneficial for them? Haha! I told you you've got a lot of guides around, but guardian angel, someone from the other side says hello, you are guided and protected. So fun. We're getting guardian angel messages too. How perfect. So we'll see what they want to say to you as well. But what else do you want to say to pile 2? Declutter, clean, prioritize, and organize. Simplify your life. Yeah, so if there are things that are getting in the way of your ability to carve out that time to just be with yourself and be in your creative energy, one thing I will say, I heard the word apps. So it may be beneficial for you to clear out any apps that are like time suckers that like you're okay with letting go of. Or one thing that I use is like a time limit thingy on my phone. They're on iPhones, but that might be helpful. But also just apps that distract you with like notifications. Even just taking the notifications off certain apps might help you as well. But let's see what else. I got 2. I am the love of my life. I am enough. That is a wonderful affirmation that you should be saying, and your higher self is saying it, so you better be saying it. And we have, sorry, I'm burping, accept. It is what it is. Healing occurs naturally with acceptance. Make peace with what is. Make peace with what is. The only way out is through. And on the back of the deck, we have rest and recharge. Take it easy today. Even in stillness, there is movement. So yeah, don't underestimate your ability to rest, to use creativity while you're resting. Whether it's like just chilling and doodling or anything that you find calming and relaxing. Like, shout out to like my knitting and crochet people. I bet they would have some good advice on creating and relaxing. So if I've got any of those in this reading, feel free to comment down below and talk about what you do that is relaxing and creative. And I feel like if that is something that you already do, maybe getting guidance, giving people guidance on how you started that, and things like that might be helpful. Because I think one of the hardest parts truly of being creative and making changes is getting started. It's once you get in the habit and actually get the routine that things get easier. But pile, I say that. Meanwhile, I still have habits from college that I need to let go of. We already have one message coming out, and it's a prayer. Dear guardian angel, to you I pray. When I'm fearful, help me remember that only love is real. When I'm lost, help me find my way. When I'm confused, help me regain clarity. When I feel lonely, help me feel your loving presence. Where I perceive chaos, help me see order. Thank you. So I'm going to hold this up actually. So when you do get overwhelmed, because there's clearly a guardian angel presence here, which for a lot of you, it could be a grandmother or a mother or something like that. Hold on to this prayer so that when you do get overwhelmed, at the very least, you can ask your guardian angel to come help with that, because they really want you to know that they're here. Let's see what else, though. What else, pile 2's guardian angel, what would you like them to know? Okay. We have a guardian angel again. Trust, all unfolds in perfect timing. You are one with divine will. Focus only on love, and all you truly desire will manifest at the most perfect moment. Be patient. I, your guardian angel, am watching over you. Yeah, you, like I said, you've got a lot of spiritual energy around you. It's really beautiful. Like, I don't get powerful, like, visions like that very often, especially when I'm first starting channeling, because I'm usually everybody's like, oh, what are we doing? But this time it was really clear, so it's really awesome. Wow. We also have eternity. Gently move your awareness from the external world to a world of light within your heart. Allow each breath to heal you as you drift to a place beyond time. Eternity exists within you, forever sparkling like a diamond. You are, in essence, a shining star, forever transforming to ever greater light. And we have blessings. Love, light, blessings. Though through this card, you are being showered with angelic light. Accept the blessings about to come your way and know that you deserve to be and have all your heart desires. You are being lovingly guided along a golden path, a magical journey through which you shall discover your true essence and the infinite eternal you. Congratulations. So yes, this is exactly what your higher self is saying. They're like, we need you to trust yourself and trust us because we're trying to bring you to a beautiful place on this golden path and you're not trusting us, and so it's hard to move forward. And on the back of the deck, we have peace. Calm your thoughts and move your awareness to a peaceful space inside your heart. Feel the ebb and flow of love. The internal movement of the stars. Your life is forever unfolding to greater spheres of love. Relax and do not worry about anything. All is well. You will soon enter a time of well-earned peace and tranquility. Speaking of relaxing, peace, and tranquility, let's get some affirmations because I think your brain might need them. So, pile 2, Spirit, what affirmations could be helpful in terms of fighting their thoughts? It is hard to accept things as they are, but if I could do that, it would set me free. This is the way things are now. We got 2. Being enough has nothing to do with my accomplishments. Nothing is ever enough for a mind. Always striving for more. That is so true, bestie. Being enough means accepting myself as I am right now, as a work in progress. Yes. We also have, I will treat myself with respect. When I treat myself with kindness, life will also treat me with kindness. Yeah, this is really big. Like, perception is reality. So you want to make sure your reality aligns with, or your perspective aligns with the reality you want to believe in. But speaking of that, we have, I can't control the things that happen to me, but I can control how I react to them. I can choose my attitude, which is so true. And I really do believe, like, the biggest thing, like, I want to give you such a big hug because I feel like really the biggest thing you need to know is that everything's going to be okay, and that you may be feeling very fearful of this upcoming period of time, but what you're going to find is that you've never felt more free and never more like yourself. So I'm going to finish this reading off with a card from this therapy toolkit deck. And this card has prompts on it. So if you want to do the prompt, feel free. It will not be graded because I'm not here to give grades. This is one of those at-home assignments where it's for you. Okay. For pile 2, what healing might they want to look into, or what do you want to bring into pile 2's awareness for more healing and growth, please? Okay. We have this one with a lady drinking her coffee under the full moon in front of a computer. That is so me vibes. Work and career. For some, career hopes and dreams are carried through childhood. Ugh, sorry, I started that wrong. Which is so funny because I felt the need to stress that this doesn't have to be career related. For some, career hopes and dreams carried through childhood become reality. For others, the dream was just a dream and they are content with the alternative path life brings them. Others again may carry frustration and grief over dreams and aspirations lost. What is your work and career path? Whose choices were they and how autonomous do you feel? Reflect on your childhood dreams if you had them. Were they overriding passions or just fun fantasies? How supported did you feel at home and school in following your dreams or working towards your goals? Reflect on your self-worth and how much you value your potential abilities now, especially around your colleagues, and how confident you feel in working towards realizing them. How do you think the way your mother and father supported you or not shaped your working and aspirational self? So I'm going to hold this up if you want to screenshot it because I know that's a lot of words. But pile 2, that is where I'm going to leave this reading. So thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background, because that is one of the simplest and easiest ways to support me and show appreciation for my channel. But if you'd like to do that in other ways, you can like this video, you can comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already and click that little notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new reading. You can check out the extended, of course, or an extended on another video if you feel so guided to. You can check out my candles. Be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off any candles on Angelic Magic 888 site. I have social media and I have merch, and all of that is linked down below. So thank you guys so much for watching and for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you are watching this. I love you so much, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 3. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Lepidolite Worry Stone and this third, well, I guess you only saw these 2 cards. This pile of cards, and this is going to be your reading on messages from your higher self. If you'd like a full breakdown of the reading, there is one in the intro. But before I forget, I was hearing a song as I was setting up for your pile, and then I got distracted, so I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. But No Worries by Lil Wayne. So if that song is significant to you, I definitely think it has significance to the energy of this pile, especially considering we have the Worry Stone here. And we're just going to go ahead and start. So yeah, 9 of Swords. Take this off. Don't need that. We have Break the Chain, Ancestral Patterns, Healing, Rewriting the Future. We have I Surrender. And we have the Page of Cups. We have the Crown Chakra with the theme of awareness. The trigger statement is, I never get what I want, and the true statement is, I am a powerful creator. Listen to your inner voice, release your ideas of the outcome you wish to see, and trust that you are aligned with the universe. We also have the Bee with the 8 of Pentacles. We have unwavering faith. It's comforting to know we can lean on a power higher than us. Have complete faith that your desires and needs are being taken care of. And I said dreams instead of desires, so maybe that's a bit of a Freudian slip. So you can add dreams if that feels right to you as well. We have give and receive love. Give love with a generous heart, and receive love with an open heart. We also have 2 musical messages from our Queen, the Hermit Tarot. So one emotion is disgust, and it is from the song Cola by Arlo Parks. And we have the 3rd eye chakra with I See. Awake, imagine, intuitive, dream. Well, there's that dream we were looking for. So pile 1, I just want to start by saying, like, I love you. And I know you might be like, you literally don't even know who I am, and I'm a stranger. But like, I don't care. I feel your energy, and I love you. And I want you to know that you deserve so much more love than you are allowing yourself to receive, especially from yourself and from the people around you that love you. And also, just like, you are so lovable, and it has nothing to do with your output or your ability to show up for others. It has everything to do with the mere fact that you exist, and like, your existence is a miracle and a blessing and a gift for every single person on this planet. And it's completely understandable that you wouldn't see that, but I need you to know that it's true, whether you recognize it or not. And I also want you to know that everything's gonna be okay. And if you need to just take a deep breath, feel free to do so. And feel free to know that everything's gonna be okay. And I just want you to know, like, you are so precious and so worthy of love. So let's talk about what your higher self wants you to know. I definitely think that you have been either missing or overthinking or not understanding a lot of the signs and guidance that has been coming to you. And I think that's primarily because of this 9 of Swords card here. Obviously, if you know anything about tarot, you know the 9 of Swords has a lot to do with mental turmoil, poor mental health. It can deal with insomnia, nightmares, overall just a mental state that is not fun to be in, period. And that can also create a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. It can contribute to mental health issues. And I definitely think right now your brain's really been, doing a number on you. And I just want you to know, like, not only do I understand that and I just have so much compassion for that, but I also just need you to know that you need to have more compassion for yourself about this, because mental health and struggling with your mental health is not easy whatsoever. And it's one of those things where people can't see it on the outside. And there are many people that are operating with a mental illness that they have no idea they even have. And there's just so much going on underneath the surface. So if you're recognizing that your mental state has gotten to a place where you may need to like regroup or like seek out some help, I think your higher self is saying, like, if you've been thinking about going to counseling, or if you've just been thinking about reaching out to someone and like talking about how you've been feeling, I definitely think that they're encouraging that, but they also want you to know that everything is okay and that you're not out of touch with anything. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just dealing with a what's the right word? With a brain on chaos mode. That's not the right word, but like unwieldy, is that a word? I don't know. I don't even know if it's a word, and you have a brain that's not listening to you. I the best way I could describe it is like, if you've seen the Wild Thornberrys, there's this character called Donnie, Donny. If you Google Donnie from the Wild Thornberrys, that's kind of the vibe of what's going on maybe in your head right now for some of you. And for others, it may just be that, like, even though you generally have a handle on your mental health, like maybe it is just gotten a little bit overwhelming, or maybe your dialogue towards yourself has gotten more unkind, or maybe you're just really doubting yourself right now. You're just, no matter what, you're really in your head. And that's the biggest thing that your higher self wants you to know. And also, they want you to know that life is not meant to be lived this way. And I think for a lot of you, you know that, but for others, you may have gotten so used to your mind being this way that you forget that there is a possibility for it to be any other way. And I feel like what your higher self wants you to know is that not only is that possible, but it's what you deserve. Everybody deserves to feel peace. Everybody deserves to feel good about themselves and feel good in their skin, and also to have a brain that serves them rather than tries to be the dictator of your life, which kind of seems like that's a little bit of what's going on. But what your higher self mainly wants you to know is that I feel this energy of like, no one is upset with you. No one is mad at you. You're not doing anything wrong. You're just struggling, and that's normal, and that's okay. I feel like there could be, like, especially if you're someone who can deal with mental health issues and still function highly. I feel like also one thing your higher self wants you to know is that just because you're good, you're still able to get your tasks done and function highly with these struggles doesn't mean it's okay that you have them. And it doesn't mean that it's okay for you to sustain that or use that as justification to not make your experience better or find ways to kind of ease all of the stuff going on in your mind. Because the thing is that your higher self just wants you to know that you're so much more powerful than you think you are. And more than anything, you just deserve to feel love for yourself and feel the love that the people around you have for you, the love that the universe has for you, because it's there and you're not really able to see it because of what's going on in your head. And that doesn't make you a bad person at all. It doesn't make you a failure. It doesn't make you, I'm hearing the word a fuck up. Try not to swear too much, even though it's what I love to do. But I feel like in your case, I feel like you're really worried about your ability to succeed. I feel like you might be comparing yourself to a lot of people. I feel like you just might be really down on yourself and doubting yourself. And I feel like your higher self is really coming through to say that those doubts and those fears are not reality. Because the truth of the situation is that you are highly capable and really incredible when you do actually put your mind to something. And I think that's kind of the scary element of this, is that whatever you do put your mind to can happen. And I'm getting the example of, if you've ever seen Howl's Moving Castle, which if you haven't, I would recommend to this group that you do. But the main character Sophie. Her thoughts are so powerful, which I guess it's also a book, but I've only seen the movie. I haven't read the book. But the main character, Sophie, one thing that she doesn't realize, I guess I don't really want to spoil things, but at the same time, it's been out for a while, so if you don't want to hear spoilers, I guess like skip a couple minutes ahead, I don't know. But essentially one thing she realizes, or I don't know if she realizes it about herself, but one attribute of her character is that whatever she believes about herself to be true continues to manifest. And I think that one thing that you need to know about yourself is that you kind of have that similar energy of the only way like you can miss out on something is if you're worrying that you're going to miss out on it. If you're like, or for another example, if you're worried that you're never going to succeed in the field that you're in, the only way you can't succeed is by staying stuck in analysis paralysis and not taking any action because you're afraid to fail. Like that's the only thing that's going to guarantee your failure. But more than anything, I feel like your higher self really wants you to know that not everything is as serious as it feels right now. And your higher self is not saying that to invalidate you, but it's rather saying that to say that it's okay to let go of the things that you've been holding on to because you feel like you should. And I don't even mean like people or things. I mean like ideas or holding on to things like guilt and shame, especially if as a way to cope with your wild mind right now. If you've been using ways to cope like distraction mechanisms like scrolling or watching movies or things like that, you might even find that like or if you're watching things like the news or something like that, you might even find that like you're carrying a lot of guilt and shame around feeling this way because you feel like there are so many people that have it worse than you and there's no reason why you should feel that way. And first of all, one thing that you need to know is that suffering is not something that certain people don't experience. Like no human leaves Earth unscathed, and your suffering doesn't matter any less just because you may have certain advantages that other people don't, or because you may have certain comforts that other people don't. Like I also feel like as well, you may not be recognizing that anything we do see outside of especially that is shown to us in media, like it's just one small glimpse into a story. There's so many more things in this world that we don't see, that we don't realize, and that we don't recognize as being true because it's just not shown to us. And I feel like what your higher self is really coming through to say is that your suffering matters. Not in the sense of like, yes, girl, suffer, we love that for you, but rather you matter. And so the fact that you're suffering, like that matters too. And you deserve to feel better. You don't deserve to just carry it and pretend like it doesn't exist because other people may have it worse than you, And I feel like one thing that your guides also want you to know is that, and it's funny because it's coming through as your guides, not just your higher self. And maybe that's because you're more receptive to like outside guidance. You may be having just a hard time listening to your higher self because you're so stuck in your head, which makes sense because the mind is kind of the cock block of intuition. So, if you're stuck in your head, it's going to be really hard to listen to your internal guidance or trust any signs that you're getting. But I feel like your guides and your higher self really want you to know that you deserve to feel lighter and surrender a lot of the more negative emotions and energies that you've been holding on to, especially if you're only holding on to them because you feel like you should, or they bring you like a source of guilt, and maybe that guilt you don't realize is like something that you're running on. As like an example, like you might also subconsciously be attracted to situations that like make you feel guilty. I don't mean situations, but I mean like media or things like that make you feel guilty, because then it's almost like fuel for this fear where you can almost like invalidate what you're going through because other people have it worse and you don't, like, there's no reason for you to be feeling that way. So I don't know if that's kind of convoluted. I hope that makes sense. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that, you deserve to feel good and you deserve to feel joy and feel light sometimes, and you enjoy, like, you deserve to feel joy, period. And also kind of let go of a lot of the heavy burdens that have been weighing you down, because more than anything, like, I think the soul medicine that you need right now is just fun and joy and playful experiences. And so with this Page of Cups energy here, I feel like your higher self is really encouraging you to do something where you can kind of get out of your head for a little bit, or do something that you know you truly love. And if you've forgotten what that is, or if you feel like nothing is really bringing you joy right now, that's totally okay. But I'm gonna ask that at the very least, you at least try to do something fun, and you at least try to do something for yourself. Because even if you don't feel it, even the action and the intention at the very least shows yourself that you're still worthy of attempting to try to feel those emotions, than not even allowing yourself the opportunity to at all. I really wouldn't be shocked as well if it's a karmic thing, like an ancestral thing, where maybe a lot of people in your family, you included, have learned to either internalize whatever is like going on underneath the surface, or maybe you've just learned to kind of hide yourself or how you feel out of fear. But I really do need you to know, Pile 3, that your voice matters, your perspective matters, and the creativity that's in your heart matters, and it deserves to be shared, and it deserves to be materialized. And I think in whatever way that is for you, it's not going to get there if you're stuck in your head. And so I feel like if you've been wanting to create in any way that you haven't been, that could actually be a wonderful catalyst in helping you get out of your head. But I also think that the universe really wants you to know as well that you're not being punished and you haven't done anything wrong, and that you don't deserve to be hard on yourself on top of the struggles that you've been dealing with. You know, I really think, and this actually makes me really sad, but if you haven't been creating or sharing yourself because you think you're disgusting or you don't like yourself, it's such a normal feeling, and I understand why you would feel that way. Not because it's valid, but because I think we all have the tendency to kind of do that. But what I need you to know is that none of that is the reality. And like, there are so many people that love you, and there are so many people that will love you when you share who you are, and you share your true feelings and your creativity, and you share more of yourself, because the world needs more of you. I think another thing you need to start doing is taking up more space and share more of yourself, because the world needs more of you, Pile 3. And I think the more you do that, the more you'll realize that a lot of your own like insecurities about yourself were not even rooted in realistic things, or were rooted in maybe statements from judgmental people from your past. But the vast majority of people that you're meant to hang around the people that you're meant to hang around should and will love you for who you are, and love the most authentic version of you. And so I really think one thing you're being encouraged to do, especially if you're on the precipice of great change or a fresh beginning, is to really look at the beliefs that you have about yourself that you are internalizing and also holding yourself to, that may not serve you, and that also may stem from times in your childhood where maybe you were shamed or belittled, or times where you were told that was the way things were, and so you took that on as your truth. Oh shoot, where is that from? I'm recalling a passage in a book. I don't know what it is. If I remember what it is, I will like put it in the video or in the description, but I'm not gonna lie, I cannot remember for the life of me where this is from. But there is one isn't even a book, I don't know, it's something, and it talks about how one of the ways in which we can get disconnected from our soul is by taking on someone else's worldview as our own. And when we do that, we can almost become asleep again, or stay asleep, because we're not in touch with our worldview, our perception. And maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe you might have to ask yourself if you've taken on someone else's worldview recently, or if you've been heavily influenced by someone's worldview, because that could be something that you're dealing with. And if you're feeling particularly particularly out of touch with yourself, that could be a source of that. And I feel like one thing your higher self wants you to know is that the beautiful thing about your truth and about your heart and about your soul essence is that that is always a part of you, and you can always come back to it. And I feel like another thing you need to hear is that you're not running out of time. Everything is okay, but you can't get anything done when you are like running on empty, and also you're just like your wheels are spinning and you're stuck, you know, with like your head is a powerful tool and resource for grounding heartfelt creations and grounding the truest, most aligned version of you into this reality. And that can't happen when it's being brain blocked by your brain. So I feel like one thing your higher self wants you to know is just how powerful like your mind is, your belief systems are, and your ability to create. And there's no reason to shame yourself for the way that like you have been coping and dealing with life, but your higher self is kind of coming through with a little bit of a wake-up call, not in a way that's meant to like shame you, but in a way that's meant to say, hey, we don't want to see you suffering any longer for this. If there are any sources that you've been thinking about reaching out for help, please do that. If there are any ways in which you could get out of your head, or if you've been thinking of those ways, please do it, because it's not something that you need to do, but it's something that, well, I mean, if you want to feel better, it would be very helpful. And they're not saying you need to do anything at all. You could leave this reading and do nothing, but they are saying that not only do you deserve to feel more at peace, but that option is available to you. It may not be there immediately, and it may take work to get there, but you deserve to feel that way, and you deserve to surrender what you've been holding on to that's keeping you in this turmoil. And I would challenge you to ask yourself, what things from your past, especially like stuff from a long time ago that you're still holding on to, that weighs on you and that holds you down, or like makes you doubt yourself or feel bad about yourself, because those are the things that need to be addressed and released and surrendered in order for you to like thrive more and be less affected by those things. Doesn't mean that they'll like go away forever, but at the very least, you know, they won't be running the show anymore. They won't be keeping you boxed in a cage of fear, or boxed in this place of uncertainty and mental anguish. So another thing as well is that your guides want you to remember that anything that you create from a place of love, you will never regret. And if you have expectations about how you think your life should be going, or how you think you should be doing things, or where you thought you would be by now, I feel like your guides are really asking you to let go of that, because you are holding yourself to a lot of like human parameters that don't really necessarily matter. They may matter on a human level or to the people around us, but I feel like what your guides, what the universe truly wants for you is not to be the CEO or catch all of the Pokemon, or be the boss babe that can do it all. Like, what the universe truly wants for you is to live a life that is real and authentic, and experience all the emotions that come with that, the joy and the heartache, the passion and the apathy. You know, there's so many experiences to life, and a lot of us kind of tap out of life and kind of avoid life and look at life on the outside and stay in our heads because we're afraid to experience those risks and face the unknown. But what your guides want you to understand is that stepping out of that box and out of that way of being is what's going to bring you the blessings you know are meant for you. The fact that we have break the chain here, and there's like Jupiter in the sky really big, you know, I think that there are so many blessings waiting for you on the other side of this mental anguish. And the biggest thing that your higher self wants you to know is that you've got the hard work component down. You don't need to be worried about that. It's about trusting the creative inspiration that you get, and not allowing the creative inspiration that you get to be diluted or distorted by your fear of how other people might perceive it, or your desire for it to appeal to the most amount of people. Rather than trying to have your creations or what you're doing appeal to the most amount of people, have it appeal to yourself and the people like you. That will be plenty effective. or honestly just what appeals to you, because then you will attract people that have that similar vibe. And if you are giving something from a place of love, you will receive loving responses to it. Not all of them may be loving, but the ones that matter will be loving. And I think what you just need to know is that your past does not dictate who you are now, and that in this moment you can always choose to change what your story has been. You can always choose to rewrite the future. And not only that, you have that power. You are so powerful. And that's why it can be scary when you get into these energies of fear or doubt or uncertainty. And that's literally because you can feed a lot of energy into that. And that's not something to shame yourself for. That's evidence of how truly powerful you are. And if you have all that power to live and deal with those energies, I promise you have the power to dilute, deflect, and bring about more energy of peace, of tranquility, of joy, of happiness, of creativity, of passion, of inspiration, because you deserve to feel all those things. And those things are on the threshold of surrendering this Nine of Swords energy and being open to solutions to deal with it, rather than focusing just on the problem. Does that make sense? But what I want you to know more than anything is that you deserve to have faith in yourself, and you deserve to have faith in your soul's plan for yourself, and have faith in where your heart is guiding you. And when you can't hear your heart and your mind is racing, the awareness of it is the first step to solving that. And that doesn't mean that like you'll never be anxious again. I mean, anxiety, it's only when it gets to a place where like it's inhibiting your ability to function that like you may really want to look at getting help for that. There's no shame in getting help. But I feel like more than anything, you may be holding on to things because you think you're supposed to, or you think that maybe you feel guilt or shame about letting go of them. And I feel like what your higher self is really saying like is you need to let go of what's not serving you. You need to let go of what's keeping you in this state, because those are the things that are taking up space that creative inspiration could take the space of. That connection to your spiritual side or connection to your guides or things like that, that could be taking up that space. Room for new opportunities, room for new experiences, room for new topics to learn. Like those are things that could be occupying that space, rather than fear and worry and dread and doubt. You know, the interesting thing is that we really don't understand like how powerful the mind is and how powerful our own power is. And I feel like one thing you may be thinking is like, oh, it takes so much mental energy though to focus on like positivity, or to focus on mindfulness, and to focus on awareness. And I would agree with you, but I would also say, is that mental energy better spent tearing yourself down and beating yourself up and making you feel bad about yourself and making you feel like you're not worthy of anything and you're not worthy of kindness, or that your creations suck, or that you suck? Because like none of that is true. And if anything, you're just cheating every single other person on the planet of having the opportunity to see more of who you are. And that's not fair to the rest of us. So stop beating yourself up, because there's more of yourself to share with the world, and we want to see it. You wouldn't be called to share more of yourself if you weren't meant to. You know what I mean? But more than anything, this world needs your light. This world needs your love. And this world needs your perspective now more than ever. And in order to get there, it's time to deal with what's in the way of doing that. And the amount of people that you will help as a result, it will be unreal. Because it may not even have to do with this mental anguish at all, but the fact that you won't be in that position of doubting yourself, and instead you'll be in a place of creating and being and accepting whatever those creations are, like those, that will help people. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. But let me just say, if you're like yes, then it all makes sense. My channeling style is kind of malleable, and depending on whatever energies I'm getting, it can kind of influence how I channel. So like I find when I'm in a particularly anxious pile, like I doubt myself more, and I feel the need to like over explain. But one thing I do want to say, pile 3, is that when you do really struggle with like ideas or concepts, if you're someone that likes to explore ideas and concepts and can almost get bogged down by other people's perspectives to the point where you lose out on your own, or you don't even know what yours is, remember that an open mind is pretty much useless without an open heart, because anyone that is a lawyer or has been to law school will know that you can make anything a plausible argument. You can use literally, it's actually really scary. Like, you can convince people of to do atrocious things, or that atrocious things are okay, just because you can have a convincing argument. But the heart has a discernment that the mind does not. And the heart feels truth. It doesn't analyze for truth. And so just remember that when you are exploring different ideas, or you're listening to other people and their perspectives, and just don't be afraid to also ask your heart or your emotional body how it feels about the information being presented. You may not have any logical explanations for as to why that is, but you don't need to. If it doesn't align with your heart, maybe that's enough for you to just say, I don't think I need to consider this viewpoint any longer, and move on towards something that does feel right in your heart. You know what I mean? But with that being said, I'm going to get some channeled messages from your higher self. And while I shuffle, I did quickly want to say that if this reading is resonating and you're interested, there will be an extended for this video, and it is literally what I said. I love that. Don't complicate it. The truth is simple. You already have the answers. Accept people and situations exactly as they are. It will bring you clarity and peace. So I definitely think if that didn't come out, some of you are meant to see that. But the extended is going to be messages from your person's higher self. And your person is whoever is meant to kind of come through in the reading. So if you feel drawn to that, feel free to check that out. That will be linked down below. But if it doesn't feel right, don't check it out. Just grateful that you're here and that I get to be a part of your journey. So pile 3's higher self. What would you like to say to pile 3 at this time? Be where you are. Every situation has its gift. To move forward, we first must honor where we are. For now, where you are is where you need to be. And I definitely think there could be some resistance to that, especially if you were feeling good a little while before. Maybe you had your mental health under control, you had things under control, and then all of a sudden the energy shifted. That's okay. That's totally okay. And I feel one thing that you need to know as well is that it is so unrealistic to expect yourself to always feel good and always feel in alignment and always feel you know exactly where you're going. Everything in life operates on cycles. Everything about the physical realm is cyclical. And I think as humans, we are really good at honoring the springs and the summers of our lives, but we have a hard time with the falls and the winters because they, aren't as exciting, or we may perceive as us losing something, but we're not losing anything. It's just the natural sequence of events and how energy regenerates. So, just know that if you are in a time of fatigue and struggle, just know this isn't forever, and you're not doing anything wrong, and there's no reason to beat yourself up. I really think more than anything, the biggest thing you deserve towards yourself right now is kindness, and compassion is the biggest energy I think that your higher self and your guides have been sending you, even though you may not be able to receive it, because I definitely think there's a part of you that's feeling guilty for not being very tuned into yourself or the universe. If you do consider yourself spiritual and you haven't been doing let's say for example you read cards or you do practice witchcraft or something like that, maybe you're not doing any of that. That's absolutely okay. You don't need to feel guilty for taking a break with stuff like that. I think it's really important actually that you do take breaks with spiritual stuff when you're not feeling it. You don't need to read tarot cards or do witchcraft or anything to be spiritual. To be spiritual is to just give your human life deeper meaning than just what's on the surface, and meaning that matters to you. Spirituality, nobody can tell you what spirituality is for you. You get to determine that, and you get to connect to that spirituality with whatever physical tools you wish. So for example, mine is cards. Yours might be something different, and that's okay. Don't shame yourself or feel you have to keep up with this image that you're always. If you feel you have to constantly be doing spiritual things, or you have to be tapped in or things like that, just know that you don't, and that your spirit guides are not going to love you any less just because you haven't communicated with them or you've missed your signs. There billions of people that have no clue of their spirit guides' existences, and their spirit guides love them just the same. Like, one thing that I really need you to know is that you are judging yourself so harshly and so unfairly, and I need you to know you're doing just fine. In fact, you're doing amazing, sweetie. And I think the most amazing thing is that if you could see yourself outside of yourself, all you would want to do is hug yourself too, because you just realize how much you've been carrying that is unnecessary, and that will weigh anyone down. You deserve more kindness than you think you do. Dance, sing, play. The universe works fast when you're just having fun. Yes, I definitely think, like I said, this goes back to that message of lightness. I really think you need to just, even if it's just like playing some of your favorite music for a little bit and dancing like a crazy person in your house, like even that could be really helpful. And I think that, you know, you deserve to feel joy. You deserve to feel lightness. And I feel like it will help you kind of get out of that energy of everything feeling so critical and so serious. The world was not meant to be on only your shoulders. And only you can relinquish that feeling. If you constantly believe the world is on your shoulders, then you will feel it. But when you recognize the responsibility of the world is not yours alone, you can then start to focus on your contribution to the world and your little corner of the world. And that makes things a lot more manageable. What else? Pile threes. Yes, return to self. Come home to you. Give to yourself. Be your own first priority. It's time to fall in love with you. Yes! Oh my God, I actually just got a download last night. I would go get my phone, but like I don't want to get too distracted. But if I remember it correctly, it was talking about how... Oh, I don't remember it. I'm going to have to grab my phone. I'm back. So I basically realized that essentially self-love is just treating yourself the way you deserve to be treated. I said you want to be treated, but I guess it's the way you deserve to be treated. And it's just kind of establishing that for yourself and being that person for yourself who's like, okay, you know what? You can never guarantee that people are going to truly have your back, but you've got your back. You know what I mean? And it's also something that will help you determine, like, when you're treating yourself right and you know, like, what the right kind of treatment for you is, you'll also know, like, who's not treating you right and who does treat you right or who has the capacity to treat you right. And also when you're doing that, it can be a lot easier to handle when people don't treat you right, because if you're taking care of yourself, you can fully recognize that people in a more negative space are just projecting their own insecurities onto you. But if the idea of self-love is overwhelming, then instead just see it as treating yourself the way you would treat someone you love, and directing that towards yourself. And that might not always be like spa days. That might be adding more discipline to your routine, or making sure you drink enough water, and making sure that you're okay and that, you know, you're feeling heard, you're feeling good. I also just think you just deserve to, I really hope, if anything, if this is the last time you and I ever interact, the one thing I need you to know, and I hope that you know, is that I really hope one day you can feel the love that so many people have for you, and that you can feel that love authentically for yourself. And not in a way where, oh, I love myself because other people love me, but rather I see why other people love me and I love myself too. It's like, rather than seeing the external like validation of other people's love, it's understanding why other people love you in the first place, because you feel that love for yourself and you see it too. That's what I think that you deserve to see and feel, and I pray that you do. What else, Spirit? We have observe. How are you feeling? Sit with it without labels or judgment. Practice just observing yourself and others. Not everything needs your reaction. Yeah, and I definitely think too, observation in terms of yourself will be really helpful, because the first step of healing, period, is awareness. And we can't heal, we can't grow from what we're not aware of. So we're gonna get some messages from your guardian angels now and see what they want to say to you. If I can shuffle these. So pile three's guardian angels, what would you like pile three to know at this time, please? What did I say about the guilt? You do not need another's approval to feel worthy of love. Regardless of what you've done or what you think you failed to do, from your soul's perspective, there's neither right nor wrong. Every experience in life is here to help you expand your awareness of love so that you may embrace ever greater spheres of wisdom. You've done nothing wrong. Didn't I like say something very similar to that? I love when I love when these cards validate what I'm saying, especially because now I'm like, it's even on paper. Your guardian angels agree with me, so if you're going to take someone's opinion outside of yourself, it might as well be mine. I think you're great, and I think you need to be kind to yourself. Let's see what else. Forgiveness, holding on to past hurt is preventing you from moving forward and achieving your heart's desires. Let it go. Forgiveness does not mean you condone another's actions. It simply means that you are no longer willing to be a perpetual victim to a person or event. Blame is a waste of your precious energy. Bless and surrender the past, for in doing so, you will reclaim the joy of life. And this is exactly what I was trying to say earlier, but in more convoluted terms, because some people get kind of understandably like offended when you talk about forgiveness, because they might think that you're expecting them to forgive someone that has committed atrocities towards them. And I absolutely don't think anyone needs to or has to forgive someone that, you know, was awful to you or caused you trauma or like abused you or anything like that. Like, no, I don't think that you owe them your forgiveness at all. But I think you owe yourself forgiveness in the ways in which you've coped as a result of that, in the ways in which you have hurt yourself because of the beliefs that you've acquired from the mean things that other people have done to you. You know, this forgiveness isn't about them, it's about you. And it's about forgiving yourself for what you needed to do to cope, and forgiving yourself for ever believing that you were less than, or ever believing that you deserved any of that treatment, because you absolutely didn't. And unfortunately, that's not like, there are a lot of things too that we might project on the universe as like, oh, like, if God is real, then why did God invent war? God didn't invent war. Like, humans did, because they haven't figured out conflict resolution yet. Like, it's anyone who has a child will know, like, just because you created the child doesn't mean you can necessarily control their life or what they do, and they shouldn't. That's kind of the blessing and the curse of being human and having that free will, is that a lot of people use their free will in very destructive ways, and we can't always understand why, but we can have the power to choose how we react to it, how we cope with it. And I feel like just the biggest thing that you need to know is that you deserve to let go of what's holding you back so that you can be even more of yourself. Sorry for that little rant. We also have prayer. Wow, okay, this is crazy. Dear guardian angel, help me dissolve past guilt or regret. Help me to see that all is always perfect and in divine order. Help me let go of the fear that I project on my future. Help me to live fully within each precious moment and feel your eternal love within and around me. Help me to realize and fulfill my true potential. Thank you. I'm going to hold this up because some of y'all definitely need to screenshot this and hold on to this prayer when you do get stuck. But yeah, this is literally summarizing everything that I was saying before. So we're gonna get some less anxiety affirmation cards. You might want to check this deck out. I can't remember where I got it. I think it's Amazon, but I'm sure if you Google it, you'll be able to find it. If not, there are wonderful alternatives as well. Just do whatever you feel called to. But pile 3's higher self. What affirmations could be useful for pile 3? Taking a step back and being neutral can sometimes be the kindest thing I can do for myself in a difficult situation. Yeah, I think I said this in a different pile, but if you're someone who really struggles with like positive affirmations because you feel like they're either not realistic or true to how you feel, or they just don't feel right, neutral affirmations are just fine. Like, as long as it's, because I think sometimes positive affirmations can be harmful, especially if we don't truly believe in them and we feel like we're just lying to ourselves. So I think, you know, if you're really struggling with that, like positivity, or just struggling to feel positive right now, it's okay to just be neutral about things, you know, rather than saying like, my negative thoughts don't control me and I choose to thrive. You can say, my negative thoughts are giving me a good fight right now. And that's okay. And I will be patient and kind to myself as I work through them. And I will not place expectations on myself about how I should be coping with this or something like that. I don't know. What else, Spirit? The tired mind sees obstacles and impossibilities. A rested mind helps me see infinite possibilities. When I'm feeling anxious, I will rest. Yeah. And rest doesn't have to just be like sitting down. there's so many different types of rest. Rest can be going and hanging out with a friend that you really enjoy seeing. Rest can be going for a walk or taking a class that you really enjoy. It can be exercising. Like literally rest, there are different types of rest. Like, you know, your body might need physical rest, but if your mind's going a million miles an hour, your mind's going to be constantly exhausted. So mental rest for you might look like exercising, for example, so excess energy gets out, or writing down all your thoughts so that, you know, your brain isn't holding on to them, or whatever that might be for you. I encourage you to look at rest not as something that is like so cut and dry, but rather what aspect of you needs rest and how can you best meet that. Hopefully that makes sense. Happiness is found in the present moment. I just need to be present, hear, see, and sense. This right here is my life. Yes, absolutely. And finally, well, I guess this one wants to come out, so we'll take it too. I will protect my time. I'll take enough time for myself and the things that make me feel good. Yeah, because you deserve that. You can't ever truly give from a balanced place if you are constantly giving away what you have just put in your cup. You're meant to give to others with what runs over. If you are always giving from your reserves, you will always be dry. You will always feel depleted, and you don't deserve to feel that way. And here's the thing, like, if you don't do that for yourself, no one's going to do it for you, because people will always benefit from getting from other people's energy. You have to be your own best advocate and pay attention and recognize when you need more time for yourself. That doesn't make you selfish. That makes you a healthy person who is putting their needs first. You put your oxygen mask on first and then you help other people. You know what I mean? The wind can knock me down, but it can also lift me up. Yes, absolutely. And I think the one thing that you need to know is that, like I said, everything is going to be okay. And I think this back of the deck card is so apt for you. I'm allowed to be happy. I'm allowed to be healthy. I'm allowed to have a wonderful life. Yes, you do not have to beat yourself up for feeling good about your life. And you don't have to beat yourself up for feeling bad when you know objectively you have a really great life. Truths can coexist. And a lot of times the darkness that we carry has nothing to do with what's going on outside of us, but rather, you know, things going on within us. That's not necessarily true though. Obviously, like, for example, survival needs, like, that's going to impact your mental health. Like fear, you don't feel secure, that's going to affect your mental health. Like, but also just know that even if you have certain needs taken care of and you're struggling with your mental health, that doesn't make you any less worthy of feeling that way. You know, it kind of goes back to the idea of like trauma, for example. Trauma is not determined by what happened to the person. It's determined by the person's, like the trauma victim's response to the trauma happening. The trauma could be as small as, well, I don't even want to give examples. Like it could be something that other people would perceive as not being traumatic, but that doesn't matter. It's not them that experienced the trauma. It's the traumatized person that experienced it. And so whatever happened to them doesn't really matter. What matters is the response that they got from it. And that's what deserves to be cared for and looked at and treated. You know, it's not going to help a traumatized person to be invalidated and treated like what they're going through they don't deserve to be going through, or that it's not justified. Like if it wasn't justified, they wouldn't be feeling that way, period. And that's another thing of like just intellect, like logic and the human mind trying to invalidate very real and very valid painful emotions that someone is trying to cope with and deal with. And I just want you to know, like, if that's you, like, you have permission to feel good. And when you're feeling bad, you have permission to feel bad and you don't need any justification for it. But just know that the human mind and the human body are insanely resilient, and anxiety or pain or poor mental health can become a normal. And I just want you to know that if it has become your normal, it doesn't have to, and you don't have to accept it as your normal. You may have to accept it as something that ebbs and flows in your life, but at the very least, like, it's not something you deserve, and it's not a punishment. It's something that we as a human collective are all learning to work through, because mental health issues are not just rooted in the brain. Like, everything is interconnected. Our mind, our body, our emotions, our spirit, and humans, you know, it's taken us this long to just start recognizing that our mental health matters. So, you know, so emotional, spiritual, that's going to take people probably a lot longer. But what you need to know is that however, you're like, your feelings are valid, your pain is valid, your hardships are valid, but also you don't deserve to be shaming yourself for feeling a certain way because you don't think you should, or you don't think that like you should be. I guess that's exactly what I was saying. I'm just overthinking again. Sorry about that. But what we're gonna go ahead and do is finish this reading off before I go into the extended with this deck, and it is called the Therapy Toolkit, 60 cards for self-exploration. So I'm gonna shuffle one card, and the cards kind of have prompts. So this is kind of the healing assignment part. So if you want to do the prompt and kind of look into it for yourself, feel free to do so. This is an open book test. I'm not grading, so if you don't want to do it, that's fine too. But I just thought it might be useful. And I guess if you want to share, feel free to, or share how becoming aware of what the prompt did made you feel free to do that as well. But for pile 3, Spirit, what prompt could be most useful for pile 3 right now moving forward? What does pile 3 need to be aware of? Okay, so we have this cute little card of all these people hugging. That's me, that's you. We're hugging. Physical intimacy. Physical intimacy is more than sex, and sex can exist without intimacy. Intimacy, both emotional and physical, is an unspoken feeling of safe closeness, as in, I feel safe when you touch me, and I feel safe when I am emotionally vulnerable with you. Emotional intimacy. Parents who accurately attend to and meet the needs of their child, giving enough touch and emotional attention for the child to feel held and loved, but also respecting their child's inherent boundaries, give the child the opportunity to enter the wider world with a healthy sense of how to safely regulate and explore their intimacy needs. Pause for just 1 second. I have noticed that in this reading, I keep saying words, like as I'm reading, I keep saying words that are not the words written on the cards. And so I feel like too, if you find yourself like saying things that are not, if you find yourself doing a similar thing, those might be messages for you, or like, if you're having like little Freudian slips, you might want to pay attention to those in your own life and see like what those slips are trying to tell you. Reflect on your own relationship with physical intimacy. Do you feel your needs were met and respected as a child? What are your boundaries and physical intimacy needs today, and how do you think they were shaped based on your childhood experiences? So I'll bring this up here. If you would like to screenshot that or hold on to it, please feel free to do so. But pile 3, that is where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you so much for sticking around with me while it took me maybe a little bit longer than normal to channel that. But thank you guys so much for watching and for being here. If you want to support, well, let's talk about supporting me. If you want to support me in one way, you can check out the extended link down below. That is where I'm headed. But if you are leaving me here, thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background, because that is one of the easiest ways for you to support me and show appreciation for my channel. But if you'd like to in other ways, you can like this video, incredibly helpful. Comment down below, let me know how it resonates. You can subscribe if you haven't already and click that little notification bell to be part of my notification squad. Shout out to my notification squad, you guys are the best. And if you want me to see your comment, I usually see comments when I first upload, because I also have to protect my mental health, and there are mean people out there. Also, I have candles. Feel free to check those out and use code ASO10 for 10% off if you are interested. You can also check out my merch as well as my social media, but that is all I have for you guys today. So thank you so much for watching and for being here. I hope, and for putting up with how much I burp. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 4. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the clear quartz and the 4th pile, then this is going to be your reading on messages from your higher self. If you'd like a full breakdown of the reading, there is one in the intro. So let's see what your higher self wants to say to you. Also, thank you for being here. I don't know if I said that. Poor short-term memory. So to start, we have King of Swords. We have the Age of Light. You have been training for this for lifetimes. We have the Hierophant. We have the Knife, which is the 5 of Swords. We have enjoy the process. It's time to stop and enjoy the present. Your future is being taken care of by the universe. Oh yeah, she's meant to go right there. We have focus. Remain completely focused on exactly what you want. The best is yet to come. We have I trust in divine timing. We have the sacral chakra with the theme of bliss, and the trigger statement is why am I here, and the true statement is I make a difference. You will have the motivation you need to express your light. Know that what you do today makes the world a better place. And if you ever wonder why I like randomly move cards, it's either because visually things look better or because I feel like the energy's off when they're not aligned the way I want them to be. Finally, with the musical messages oracle deck by our queen, the Hermit Tarot, we have the theme or the emotion, well, I don't know if emotion is a distraction. We have the topic of distraction with the song I'll Call You Back by Erykah Badu. I'm in the kitchen, I'm cooking and mixing and fixing the sauces, and I'll call you back, running around in the city. I run it, I like it, I'm busy, so I'll call you back. And we have Genesis, and the song is The New Road by Vanilla Gorilla. Ooh, you gotta keep an open mind. You know that everything's gonna be all right. Pay attention to the signs. Hope you know that you control your mind. Pile 4. First of all, everything's gonna be okay. I know you know that, but you are dealing with a case of self-sabotage. I feel like a little bit of fear, but I feel like it's mainly self-sabotage. And sure, I guess that self-sabotage is rooted in fear, but I feel like your higher self is coming through to let you know that you have a brilliant mind, and that can be both a blessing and a curse. And the fact that we have the King of Swords here, this is really showing me that, especially in this case, I think you're really struggling with trusting what guidance feels right to you. And I don't even know if it's necessarily guidance, because I don't think it's external guidance. I think you're having trouble knowing what parts of yourself to follow and trust. And I think it's important to remember that, like, first of all, you are so many different things, and so it's understandable why you'd be uncertain of, like, you know, there's like the great debate, right, of my head versus my heart. But I think in this case, well, and actually in the case of really everyone, your head is meant to work in alignment with your heart. They're not meant to be separate. But a lot of times our head doesn't quite understand where our heart is leading us. And I definitely feel like in this case, your higher self wants you to know how much your voice matters and how much you tear down your own voice, which maybe you don't, and maybe you don't realize that. But I feel like there's a lot of things that you have to share with the people around you that they need to hear. And for some of that, it's like you may have a roommate or a coworker or someone that's like repeatedly violating your boundaries or just being unkind to you or is doing something that is like disrespectful, and period, you need to say something. You can be honest and still be kind. You are not going to be the villain if you ask someone to stop stealing your sandwiches at lunch. Like, you're not going to be the villain if you ask someone to replace the pack of Pop-Tarts that were yours that they ate all of. You know what I mean? It might feel that way, but you're not. And that was kind of a specific tangent, but I feel like more than anything, you have this beautiful quality, which is beautiful, but also it definitely holds you back, where you are conscious of how your words can affect people. And you're also conscious of how painful other people's words can be towards you. And because of that, I think that you are very cautious about what you say out of fear of hurting other people. And I also think that you are someone who feels a lot of frustration at times, because I feel like there's a lot you do want to say, but maybe the fear of being attacked by others, or the fear of your beliefs, like your beliefs or the conclusions you come to being criticized. The fear of that criticism is something that maybe you're afraid of experiencing, or if like you got that criticism, maybe it would like invalidate what you think or believe. But here's the truth. Anything that's rooted in truth and divine truth, at the very least, with truths that strong, it doesn't matter if anyone has resistance to it, because it's not something that can be argued. It's something that's felt and understood. And those truths that you feel like at your core, those are the ones you're meant to be sharing. You know, there may be times where you have opinions you might want to share, and like, go for it. But I feel like what you are afraid of is unnecessary conflict, or there may even be like things you want to talk about publicly that you're afraid of the backlash for. Like, maybe because you have a controversial opinion, or you want to share ideas that you don't know how other people are going to take them, or you want to share things that you know other people might not agree with you on, and you might be attacked for those beliefs. And I feel like your higher self is saying, not only can you handle that, but like, you're dealing with criticism on a daily basis with yourself, because you are constantly analyzing and obsessing over your thoughts and your ideas and looking at them from different perspectives and trying to see how they could be misconstrued, or and look for any weaknesses in your arguments and things like that. And that's really awesome, but it definitely holds you back in the sense that it seems like you never allow yourself to share a complete thought, because you're always thinking about how it could be wrong. And I think your higher self is coming through to ask you to let go of the idea of being right or wrong. Like, and it's actually interesting because this King of Swords has these two other heads coming out of his main head. And I really do think that is the dual belief of right and wrong here. I think what your higher self is wanting you to know is that in truth, everything is one, which is a concept we talk about in spirituality a lot, right? But everything is interconnected, and love and true love and divinity, it's rooted in oneness. It's rooted in unity. And I think what you need to know is that if you feel that something is meant to be shared, obviously, you know, there is a difference between being honest, because that's just how you are, and being honest and kind. And I feel like what you're trying to do is spread a message that is kind, that is rooted in honesty and truth for yourself. But you may be afraid that other people might take it as, other people might just accuse you of being something that you're not, or they might, like, for example, they won't even listen to what you have to say because they're already so fired up that you have a diverging opinion that they immediately go and start attacking you, which is a lot of the internet today. And that's completely understandable. But what you need to understand is that you can't control that. And I think that part of you is almost just censoring yourself and censoring your thoughts and censoring truths that need to come out by you. Like, you are the chosen vessel for this. And you might be like, well, this is the general reading that, yeah, each of you that fucking picked pile four that resonate with this was chosen for that, all right? Like, I don't know why that's so crazy, but like, yeah, there's not one carpenter in the world. Like, there's a ton of them, because one carpenter couldn't get all that shit done. But a lot of them can. That's why we need a ton of them. So don't sit here and invalidate yourself because you're like, well, like, tons of people are going to pick pile four. Like, how do I know? Because I said so. Because Spirit said so. Through me. All right? Don't invalidate yourself. I'm tired of that. Like, I think actually your higher self is really tired of you invalidating your skills, your intelligence, and your ability to share messages with others, whether it's through writing, through art, through speaking, whatever it may be. You are sleeping on a gold mine, and that gold mine is your wisdom, your truths, the things you have to share with other people. And it doesn't even have to be publicly, but I feel like there are people in your life that could really benefit from what you are trying to share. And at the very least, you could benefit from just seeing your own perspective materialized in front of you. Because if you're struggling with the fact that you don't see anyone else speaking to truth, what you feel or what you believe, that's a sign that you're supposed to do it, my dude. Which I could resonate with as well. There's a lot of things that I want to talk about, which, I don't know. Pile 4, tell me to make a second channel. Because I'm like, I need to do it, but I just keep forgetting. And I want to talk about stuff there. So if you would want to join me, it would just be far more chaotic. Probably still spiritual in nature, but also just chaos and a lot reading, let me know. But this is about you. And for you, I feel like one thing that you're missing is your heart and your deeper connection to what it is you're saying. Because I think where you might get tripped up is you might miss out on the difference between sharing a thought or an opinion because you want validation that it is correct versus sharing a thought or opinion because it resonates with your truth and you believe that by sharing it, you could enlighten someone else. Now, obviously, whatever your intention, how it's received may be different, but I think intention is important here. And also, like, side note, they always say the road to hell is paved with good intentions, but like, it's very obvious that the road to hell is also paved with bad intentions. So like, what is the road to heaven paved with? Food for thought. Anyway, with this Hierophant here, I definitely think that one thing you need to understand is that I'm literally hearing the song, like, I don't know the band that sings it. I'm sorry, I don't. But it's the song Slow Ride, Take It Easy. And I think that one thing your higher self wants you to know is that you may be putting unnecessary pressure on yourself to either have like everything figured out in your life or to only share your thoughts and opinions when they've been so meticulously curated that no one could ever possibly poke a hole in what it is you have to say. Because even in that, it's like you're protecting yourself from the idea that you might be wrong or the idea that someone has a differing opinion from yours. And here's the thing. If you're quote unquote wrong about something, which we already said, we needed to let go of right and wrong, that's okay. Other people can have diverging opinions. Other people can have, different beliefs. Other people can disagree with you. That's normal. That's life. There's 8 billion of us. If we all had the same viewpoint, well, depending on what that viewpoint was, it might be kind of productive, or it could be horrifying. I don't know. But what I do know is that when you let go of the idea that you have to know everything and be open to the fact that you have valuable words to share and you don't need to reach this level of like unhinged perfection or flawless reasoning before sharing it, I feel like that will help set you free in a way. But there's also part of you where I feel like you're thinking 10 steps ahead into the future and you're really being encouraged to come back into the present moment. I think you have really grand visions of maybe what you want to create or the things you want to achieve or the things you want to do. Maybe you're just meant to do something really great, but you don't know what that is. And I really think that your higher self is coming through to say that you don't need to think so hard about it. It's not going to be something that you think about. You don't think about how to go up the stairs. You just do it one step at a time. And like, there are a lot of things in life that that just kind of happen, whether intuitively or naturally. And I feel like one thing that you need to know is that fulfilling your life's purpose, which first of all, your life purpose can be a million different things and it can always change. I think the most important purpose of life is to enjoy it and to explore who you are and share that with the world, because that is the parts of you that you love most, and the parts of you that make you you are the reasons why you're here, are to share your essence with the world. And you are a physical manifestation of your soul, and the beauty of that soul deserves to be shared with the rest of the world. And I feel like you may be filtering yourself or your opinions or your thoughts or your beliefs and whittling them down to what you think is acceptable for others or what you think can't be argued with by others. Which, first of all, belief doesn't need to be rooted in scientific reasoning. And also, like, science is incredibly important, but I think that science and spirituality will both suffer until they make sweet love and actually start working together. But I think one thing that you need to know is that you're not, okay, if you are someone who had a spiritual awakening and a lot of your friends or people around you don't believe in anything, I will say, and I know this from personal experience because I've been religious, believed in nothing, and now I'm spiritual. When I believed in nothing, I felt like I was better than people who believed in something, because it was an egoic place of that's so lame, you believe in something, or it's almost this I don't know how to explain it, but I almost feel like it can be really easy to fall into this trap of you believe in something. You know, and it's funny because like I used to only believe in like what my eyes could see. And it's like I couldn't see carbon monoxide, but that shit could have killed me at any moment. So I feel like what you need to understand is that even when you are like filtering your arguments or filtering your thoughts and what you want to share with the world, you're filtering it from a place of fear. You're filtering it from a place of distortion, because the distortion is what you think will be received or what you think is acceptable or unacceptable to share. The distortion is, if I say any of this, what if it's wrong? The idea that one, being quote unquote wrong makes you less valid or makes what you're sharing less important, not true. Because when you give people the opportunity to share what they think as well, then you can not only open your mind to potential possibilities, but you can also, you know, build a dialogue with someone. I mean, not saying that you need to necessarily build a dialogue with every person you interact with, but I think that one thing your higher self wants you to know is that it's okay for people to disagree with you. It's okay for people to think you're wrong. It's okay for people to not believe in what you believe in. That's absolutely okay. And I think that maybe one thing you might be dealing with or having a hard time with is if you do have people around you, like, for example, if you are someone who has gone through a spiritual awakening and no one else believes in that or thinks that they're going to look down on you or think you're silly, at the end of the day, like, that is just where they're at in terms of a maturity level. Like, you can believe in nothing and not be a dick about it. So if you believing in something causes other people to be mean to you or patronizing to you or belittling towards you, that says nothing about you, and it says everything about them and where their own limited mindset is. They are so sure of what they think about the universe that they can't even fathom the possibility that there might be something greater than their own free will. And look at what they're using their own free will to do. Tear down someone else's belief system that doesn't really impact them at all. Isn't that interesting? And wouldn't it be sad if a person like that said something to you that caused you to believe that what you were sharing was any less valid because they didn't think it was worth sharing? What if that same message that you were meant to share inspired 3 people and only that one person had that problem? Would you still share it? And if the answer is no, because that one person would be resisting, then I would pay attention to the fact that you're missing out on all the people that would benefit from what you have to say. You know, if you're too worried about the negativity you might receive for what you're going to say, yeah, that's probably going to keep you silent. Because, listen, fact of the matter is that if you don't have haters, you ain't popping. I wish we could live in a world without haters, but, you know, we don't. So that's where we're at in life, and that's where a lot of people are at, and that's their journey. But you don't have to be a part of that. And I feel like what you need to know is that you don't have to know every step of your journey, and you don't have to hold yourself back out of fear. Like, it's almost like you're expecting people to cut you or stab you, but it's like, bro, you have a sword too. Like, you can also fight back. Like, you can also stand up for yourself. You can also refuse to take someone else's treatment. You can also hit the block button. You can also hit mute. You can also just recognize that as someone else's noise and move on. You don't have to take every single thought or opinion as something you need to consider. And that might be hard to believe because you're like, no, I want to be open-minded. I want to see other people's perspectives. I'm going to say this with peace and love, but the better you get at discernment, the more you're going to realize whose opinions are worth listening to and whose aren't. Because someone, and I'll explain this perfectly. If you share content online, people are going to leave hateful and even abusive comments, and they're going to say it's constructive criticism. Most people don't know what constructive criticism is because it's constructive. They're just more focused on the criticism part, and they think that criticism is valid because they believe so. That's why they're sharing it. Now, I could take that, if it was constructive criticism, it wouldn't be destructive in the first place, which is usually they're saying something hateful or something like that, and you will experience that. But when something is truly constructive, it's going to be delivered in a mature and kind way, and it's not going to be there to belittle you or tear you down. It's going to be there to make whatever you're sharing even better. And the person that's sharing it is not sharing it with the opinion of wanting to make you feel smaller or feel bad about what you shared, but rather they like what you've shared, or they see promise in what you're sharing and they want to add to it and make it even better. That's constructive criticism. But a lot of people think that they're constructively criticizing, but rather they're just being negative or hateful or abusive. I can tell you, as a person who's been on YouTube for years, I can count on 2 hands how many times I've actually gotten constructive criticism. A lot of people think they're giving constructive criticism, but they're really just being abusive under a term they think is okay. And unfortunately, that's just a thing. And it's kind of something that you kind of get better at dealing with as you face it. But I think there's a part of you that is really afraid to step into this role of sharing your voice more because of that negative response. And what you need to know is that negativity is always going to impact you more than positivity, because negativity has a denser energy than positivity does. And that is why, like, it can be so painful when, like, negativity hits you or someone says something really mean or directs negativity your way. But you are being given the tools and being guided towards the path that is going to allow you to handle that and still be okay with it, and accept that that is a factor and not let it stop you from sharing your voice anyway. Because you deserve to share your voice. You are brilliant. And I think that, and then with this age of light, you've been training for this for lifetimes. Like, your soul has been, it's quite possible that maybe in a past life or something like that, you experienced a lot of, or maybe even in this life, you've experienced like trauma around sharing your voice or sharing your opinion. But what you're being told now is that this voice and this opinion, people need to hear it. And you need to be willing to speak it as long as it feels right with your heart. If it doesn't feel right, if it's too much of a stretch, then obviously don't. But what you need to know is that you do make a difference, and that you deserve to feel good, and you deserve to share messages that make you feel good, that make you feel uplifted, and share those messages with others. You know, negative people are just going to stay negative. Like, but there are many people that need to hear more positivity, that need to hear the things that you have to say. And maybe what you're saying isn't necessarily positive, it's rather just neutral. I certainly hope I'm not encouraging you to say negative, mean, or hateful things, but I don't think that's where you are, because you probably wouldn't even be at a tarot reading in the first place. You'd probably think tarot readings are stupid. You probably would have scoffed at the video and just kept scrolling on. So, with that being said, I really think that Spirit is encouraging you to not beat yourself up when you do get distracted or when you do hold yourself back, because I think that there's almost value in that as well. Like, there's a lot of things you're learning, and I feel like one thing is that you might be really focused on performing or achieving like one thing, but I feel like your spirit guides, your higher self, they're really asking you to zoom out and realize that, like, your purpose is not just about like sharing something for others. It's also about living your life, discovering who you are through this life, and learning, growing, and just being present. And I feel like you may be really focused on the destination to the point where the idea of taking those steps or getting the process started of doing something big, like maybe for examples, like some of you want to write a book. You know, the idea of, oh, it's so hard to get published, and like, you know, it takes forever to write a book, and what if I put all that time and energy in and I write the book and then I get rejected? Twilight got rejected like 1 million times. Only took one person to publish it, but Stephanie Meyer had to face a lot of rejections before that, right? There are going to be people that reject what you have to say. There are going to be people that don't agree with you. There are going to be people that are going to be hateful towards you for no other reason than that's just what they were feeling. And it wasn't personal. It's just their own ick that they're trying to fling onto you. And I know you know that. But I think there is a part of you that feels like you're not capable of handling that for yourself. Like, you see that other people can handle it. You see that it's okay. And then in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. But I think there's a part of you that is like, but I don't think I'm equipped to handle that. And you know why? Because you're looking at it from a mental perspective. When people say hurtful things to you, or are mean, or just downright cruel towards you, it doesn't just hurt your mind. It hurts your emotions. It can even cause things like soul loss. Like, the words that people say to us are no joke. And your voice really does matter. And I feel like you may not be recognizing where your emotional body needs support, because it takes a lot of courage and bravery to speak your truth and speak your mind when you know that it may be met with hatred or cruelty. But that doesn't mean your message is not worth sharing. I think that's exactly why your message is worth sharing. Because if there are people spewing the opposite, somebody's got to be on the team of whatever your loving truth is. And I think for you, what you need to know is that you're going to make a difference in people's lives and they'll never tell you. You're going to help people and you'll have no idea. You're going to inspire others and you'll have no clue. But that doesn't make it untrue. You just don't know about it. And trust me, people will want to tell you when they're, well, some people, the people that are not afraid of conflict, they'll certainly want to tell you when they don't agree or when they're fired up. Because they're looking for, they feed off that stuff. They're looking for that, and that's fine, that's them. But for you, I think that your higher self is really coming through to say it's time to stop hiding. It's time to stop being so hyper vigilant about who you are, why you're here, and your deservingness of sharing your truth with the world and your deservingness of exploring who you are. Because I also think that you may be determining your worth on like, how can I give to others? How can I be there for others? Which is like so wonderful. We love someone that is able to give to others and be generous. But I feel like you're kind of, for your own personal journey might be falling on the wayside because you're so focused on like, what should I be doing? Or like, am I not doing enough? I feel like there's a lot of self-sabotaging. I feel like there's a lot of doubt. I feel like you're criticizing yourself a lot and poking a lot of holes in your plans or ideas or inspirations. And I feel like your higher self is really coming through to say that like, you're doing great. And it's really time for you to calm down. It's okay when you get distracted. It's okay when you self-sabotage. It's okay when you do those things. That doesn't mean that you should beat yourself up on top of it. When you do those things, those are opportunities for you to be aware of when it's happening and learn and grow so that you can prevent that, or at the very least be better at spotting when self-sabotaging happens or when you're distracting as a form of coping happens. And you can redirect yourself in very positive ways. And so I really think your higher self is also encouraging you to develop a routine, if you haven't already, that encourages awareness, mindfulness, and also silence. I think that you really need more silence in your life. And if you are someone whose brain does not stop going, you need silence the most. And it takes time and energy to train the brain to do that, but it's possible. And I think that you're really being encouraged to do so, whether that's seeking out a mentor, seeking out like a meditation class, or just something where you can learn to handle your brain. It doesn't even have to be spiritual, whether it's counseling or like, I have a workbook that's called like the Anxiety and Phobias workbook. Like even something like that could be beneficial. Really anything to bring you closer to yourself, because I feel like one thing your higher self wants to remind you is that your journey is not about just being there for others. You are an important part in that, and you really can't, your best ideas, your best messages, your best truths will come from a place of awareness and from a place of experience and from a place of, I've walked this path and I can talk about it, you know? And I think one thing that you need to know is that you don't need to walk the entire path before you talk about it. You can talk about the first quarter of your path and say, I still don't know what's next. You know, I think one of the reasons why people get afraid to share their voice or their truth is because they're afraid of getting clowned on in the future when that voice is outdated or that belief is outdated or their life has changed. And one thing that I feel like your higher self just wants you to know is that life is full of cycles. And, you know, you can never truly predict when something that you're going to say is like outdated or sounds silly. You know, things are constantly changing all the time. But as long as you're giving messages that from a place that, and I say giving messages, that could be anything. Like that could be you speaking your mind more at work. That could be you sharing your writings or sharing your opinions more. Whatever it may be. I feel like what you need to know is that your voice matters and that you don't need to justify or like give yourself, like, you don't need a degree to speak up or speak your mind. Like nobody does. And I think for you, what you're not realizing is you probably see a lot of people that say a lot of like, are really loud, but they're not saying anything of substance, or they are saying these, you might even be bewildered by the fact that people have their own platforms and are willing to just say just mean stuff or hateful stuff or like whatever it may be, and they don't bat an eye at it. They're fine. You might be like, how do they live with that? I don't know. You clearly don't know either, but they do. So I think it's possible for you to live with yourself if you share something from a place of love, and maybe a couple people are offended by it or don't agree with it, you know? That's allowed. They're okay. They're allowed to be offended by something. That doesn't mean that it's your responsibility that they're offended. It just means that they are. Like, and what they do with that is their choice. And how you choose to respond to something is also your choice. We can't control how other people feel. And I think the biggest thing is that you are not responsible for other people's emotions. And other people will try to make you responsible for their emotions because people don't want to take responsibility for themselves, period. Many people don't. And even sometimes I don't. It's a lot of work. But at the very least, I'm not going to make it someone else's responsibility because I'm self-aware enough to know how draining and messed up that is. And you are too. So just remember that when someone is trying to poke holes in something you're sharing, or someone is trying to make you the villain because you said something that they didn't agree with and that upset them, like, well, first of all, you're not talking to someone worth sharing with if they can't even, like, especially if you're just sharing what you have to say, like, on the internet, anyone, like, besides, like, scrolling things, like TikTok-y-ish things, like, if you're sharing what you have to say on YouTube, like, anyone that would be upset by what you have to say, like, they could literally just exit out and go about their day. Like, they don't have to leave you a whole thing and sit there and watch the whole thing and be uncomfortable. They're choosing to do that. So just remember that when you do inevitably share more of yourself and you experience those things. And the most important thing to remember is that it's not your problem. Their emotions are not your responsibility. Your responsibility is you. And your responsibility is to share from a place of integrity that aligns with what is true for you and that aligns with your values. Does that make sense? But I feel like more than anything, you don't need a specific plan. You don't need a specific understanding. You don't need to know where you're headed next. Actually, if anything, it's less about, I think that your higher self is actually encouraging you to think less about what you should be doing and more about what you want to do. What do you want to share about? What brings you meaning? I feel like you're waiting for divine timing to help you shift. And I think what you're not recognizing is divine timing is waiting for you to shift. Because divine timing is not a date on the calendar. It's created every day by our thoughts and our actions, our words, and our behaviors. And if you are stuck in a state of paralysis or stuck in this stalemate with yourself, time is just going to continue passing. And I guess if it passes long enough, eventually something's got to give. But I feel like what your higher self is saying is that you could be free of this energy immediately by just being kinder to yourself, not expecting yourself to always be right, and letting go of the idea of right and wrong. And anyone that is telling you what you're saying is right or wrong, you know, if what people are saying what you're saying is right, that just means they agree with it. And if people are saying what you're saying is wrong, you know, they just don't agree with it, and that's okay. Because right and wrong doesn't truly exist. And they only exist because we've created them as concepts and we believe it to be. But you deserve to share just as much as anyone else. And I feel like your voice and your opinions and your mind are very important. And if your mind is not connected to your heart, then you can be very dangerous, because anyone that's a lawyer or like has been to law school will know that you can argue any point and make it credible, unfortunately. But an open heart, a discerning heart, is going to feel what feels true or what feels, I don't want to say wrong, but not aligned with the highest good of all beings. Let's just say that. And sometimes people need to hear things that they don't want to hear, and because that's helpful. I'm sure if you watch me regularly, you probably know that. But I feel like what you need to know is that you are not serving the divine in a way where you are like the divine slave. You're co-creating with the divine. You can look to the divine for inspiration. You can look to your spiritual world for inspiration. But ultimately, you get to choose what you share. You are the vessel in which that divine energy is expressed in the material realm. And so for you, your higher self is really encouraging you to focus on what actually matters and what's truly important. And I feel like the great irony of me channeling this whole message is I feel like I've been going on tangents and I've been talking about other people and I've been talking about, you know, negativity and things like that. But none of that really has to do with you. But it does have to do with you because it seems like that's what you've been focused on. And that's not a bad thing. Like, a lot of us are focused on that stuff. But your higher self is coming through to say it's time to change your focus. Because it's like, I don't know, I can't come up with a good example. But anyway, it's like wherever your focus goes, energy and intention flows. And I think that you've brought yourself to a state where you feel like you don't know what's going on, or you're overwhelmed, or you're like, am I messing everything up? Am I screwing? Like, you're doing just fine. The only thing that could maybe help is maybe getting out of your head a little bit more and grounding, feeling into your body, asking yourself how ideas feel. How does it feel when you're sharing your thoughts and opinions? Does it feel enlightening or uplifting, or does it feel like, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. I really don't. I'm only half here when I channel. And that's the thing. It's okay if you don't know where you're being led. It's okay if you don't know what you're meant to share. It's okay if you don't know what you're meant to do. But it's time to start exploring. And I feel like your higher self is also saying it's time to start letting go of the idea that you can only make a difference in certain concrete ways, because you make a difference every day by just being yourself, whether positive or negative. And in a lot of ways, as well-intentioned as we are as humans, like, we do negative things all the time, and it's not because we're trying to be negative, but because the systems that we live in are not working. But is that one person's fault? No. Is that the fault of the people running it? Yeah, kind of. But also, they also inherited a system that did that as well. I guess the point, see, I'm getting distracted on a fucking tangent again. Why is that happening, Pile 4? I don't know. I'm also swearing a lot. I'm really sad if I am not getting the message across because I'm getting so distracted. And there's a reason for that. Like, I explained this in another pile, but like, the way that I channel is influenced by the energy that I'm channeling. And so sometimes I will not be able to stop apologizing in a reading, typically because the people I'm channeling for have that problem, or I get really distracted. And I think that is what you are dealing with, is because also when you live in your head, it's very easy to get distracted by just like interesting concepts or thoughts. Like, you might be the type of person to go down an internet rabbit hole and be like, oh, I was gonna write my book today, but then I got really interested on like the history of giraffes. And you know, that's valid, because who knows, maybe one day you could tie the history of giraffes into whatever you want to share. You don't know until that moment comes. You know, I used to think that being a depressed recluse was a waste of my time and energy. But now I have a wealth of pop culture references to share. So I don't really think that time was ever truly wasted. And ultimately, what you need to know is that you know nothing. And that is a beautiful gift and a blessing. And to let go of the need to know everything, because you never can, and your tiny little human brain will never compare to the divine intelligence that loves, leads, and guides all of us. And I think more than anything, it would be really helpful for you to develop a routine, if you haven't already, that allows you to ground and get out of your head. Because like I said, your head is meant to be a tool, an asset. It is not meant to rule you, and it is also not meant to control you. It is the control system of your body, but it is not meant to override your spirit, what your heart wants to do. And unfortunately, in the society that we live in, we value the mind way more than the heart. And I think that you are one person who has the ability to use both in very powerful ways. And I think that the mind and the heart work best when they're together. And I also think that one thing you need to know as well is that you may be anticipating strife, but you may be surprised in how many people support what you have to say and agree with it. It's just being willing to be okay with the few people that won't and will feel the need to share that with you. Because trust me, a lot of people will hear what you have to say, not agree with you, and move on because they got better things to do with their time. It's just the ones that don't that you gotta deal with. So what you need to know is that there are wonderful things coming to you, and you don't even need to know how, you don't need to know when. All of that would just make things more confusing. What you need to know is that you make a difference by being here, and that you deserve to find the systems that work best for you so that you could share more of yourself, and that you can cope with the results of what happens with you sharing yourself and sharing your voice. yeah, I was gonna give a Ted Lasso example, but like the episode just came out and I don't want to spoil anyone, so never mind. But if you haven't seen Ted Lasso and you have Apple TV, you better get on that. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and pull some channeled messages now from your higher self. But I guess just to summarize, like, you are so powerful and you don't need to wait for the universe to give you a sign. Like, I think there's part of you that is meant to kind of, well, not you have control in where you head next and what you do next. It's about recognizing that there are no right or wrongs in how in what you choose, but just, you know, positives and negatives to any choice you make. Like, for example, it may not matter. I'll use this small example and then I'll move on because I know this is taking forever and you're probably like, Aso, shut the fuck up. So I stressed so much about where I wanted to go to college and what the right college for me was. And so freshman year, I went to a big state school and I was absolutely miserable and I hated it. It was awful. And then I transferred to like a small private school in a different city and I hated it and I was miserable. You know why? Because the setting had nothing to do with my misery. My misery had to do with myself. And I would have learned that no matter where I went. So ultimately, you know, you might be focused on details that don't actually really matter to what you're meant to learn. And I think what your higher self really wants you to know is that you've got to stop anticipating what you think the universe is trying to show you or what you think the universe is trying to teach you, and just observe. Just be open, listen, be receptive rather than analytical, because the analysis can come later. I feel like what would be very freeing for you is to just feel and experience and observe without placing judgments or placing analysis on it. You know, obviously we learn how to analyze things, and analysis can be great and wonderful, but if you analyze to the point where you're paralyzed, that is not, and I do see some of that here. Not a ton. Like, I feel like you're actually pretty good at being disciplined and handling your mind when it gets overwhelming, but I still think there's that component of you not trusting yourself and being afraid of criticism or attacks from outside sources that you may not be able to handle. And I think ultimately you can handle it when you are tapped into all elements of self. I mean, I guess you can handle it without that, but I think more than anything, when painful experiences are directed at you or mean negative energies are directed at you, you know, making sure you're not just paying attention to the mental body, but also the emotional body. Like, how are your emotions feeling? Validating those emotions, being kind to yourself. You know, if you say like something's fine and you don't care, but deep down it's really hurting you, like that hurt isn't going to go anywhere until you like acknowledge it and feel that energy and move through it. So, and the sooner you do that, the more room you make and the more space you make within yourself to like bring about more wisdom and more clarity and more wonderful, beautiful things. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead now and pull some channel messages from your higher self. And I did want to say, if you're interested, there is an extended at the end of the, look at that. Observe, even spirit's like, I love when spirit echoes my sentiments. That's what I was trying to say. How are you feeling? Sit with it without labels or judgment. Practice just observing yourself and others. Not everything needs your reaction. Yes, that also. The extended. We are going to be channeling messages from your person's higher self. And who is your person? Well, it's the person who comes through. Hopefully it's the person on your mind. But if it's not the person on your mind, then it's clearly someone that like wants you to hear from them. So if you feel called to check that out, feel free. If you don't, just grateful you're here. Just grateful you're sitting through my flawed channeling, but I'm doing my best, and that's what matters. Okay, so pile 4's higher self spirit. What would you like to say to pile 4? Keep being, yes, keep being you. What others say or do is a reflection of them, not you. Don't take anything personally. It drains your energy. Absolutely. And like, you have such powerful mental energy. Like, you could be someone, like I could see you like standing in front of like a governmental body and speaking about like an important thing, or like you could really like your voice or just your ideas, even if you just have to give your ideas to another voice, and maybe like the ego in that is like scary, or like the idea of like letting go of your ideas and like someone else share them. I don't know why that came through, but you have a powerful voice. Don't use it to tear yourself down. Don't use it to hold yourself back. Use it to uplift yourself and to do whatever your goal is with sharing your voice with others. I really hope I'm not encouraging you to like say anything mean, but I don't think I am. If you're aligned with me and my energy, I don't think I am. I would hope not, at least. Okay. I will say I don't condone that if you are. Anyway, pile 4's higher self. Unstoppable. Yes, you are limitless. You can handle anything. Don't underestimate yourself. You have many unique talents. And I also think that is a great reason as to why like spirit isn't necessarily giving you guidance on what to do next or how you should do something, because there are many ways in which you could accomplish whatever the underlying goal is. You know, like I said with the college example, it didn't have to do with the college. It had to do with the lessons I was meant to learn at that point in my life. The setting changed how I learned those lessons, absolutely. But point being, there are so many possibilities you haven't even considered. There are so many options you haven't considered. And when you live in your head, you're not able to be open to those solutions. And I think one thing Spirit is saying is that divine timing is waiting for you to get going. And I don't say get going in a way where you're like, come on, get it up. Like, not like that. But just in a sense of just trying something, seeing what works, seeing what sticks. Like, you don't need to have this set plan or put yourself in any boxes or hold yourself to anything. Just try something different. Try something new. Okay, I feel like this bottom one wants to come out. Mirror. As within, so without. Have compassion for yourself and others. Everything is a reflection. When we change, everything changes. Yes, absolutely. Okay, these are coming out in really funny ways. So also, something, you might get like messages from the universe in really like kooky ways. Like, you might get it from like a children's TV show or from a stranger saying something to you, or like you glimpse at like you're on the subway and you glimpse at the person sitting next to you's book and it's saying something that's like wildly on point to what you needed to hear. I feel like your higher self is even encouraging you to be open-minded of when guidance is coming towards your way, because the only thing that makes a sign is if you feel like it's a sign. A sign is a sign if you don't think it's a sign. A sign is a sign if you think it's a sign. It's all about what you think and believe. And we also have, it is safe to relax because the universe has your back. Your divine purpose is to enjoy your life. Didn't I say that? Did I not say that? Your higher self agrees. And on the back of the deck, we have meditate. Oh, you're going to see this one too. Make time to just be. Get lost in the moment. A chill you is patient, creative, and happy, and you deserve all those things. But also, get out of your own way. You are the reason, the cause, and the solution. Take back your power by remembering who you really are. Abso-freaking-lutely. I wanted to say the other F word, but I've said enough of that F word in this group. So clearly, I know, I bet, considering how much I've said it, I bet y'all wish I would say it too, but I say a lot more of them in the extendeds because I'm not being censored. Okay. All right, let's see what your guardian angels want you to know. Pile 4's guardian angels. Patience. Patience is required at the moment. You may feel like you are not moving as fast as you would like to be, yet there's a lot going on energetically. The current situation causing concern is evolving positively. Let go and have patience. You will eventually realize that this was, in fact, a blessing. All is perfect as it is. Trust. You are eternally loved and guided. What else? We have acceptance. There is nothing about you that you need to fix. Reclaim the disowned parts of you that you yearn for love. Reclaim the disowned parts of you that yearn for love and acceptance. You are beautiful just as you are, regardless of any faults you may perceive you have. You are an eternally radiant being of light. Accept all that you are and just be you. When you truly accept yourself, your whole world will magically and lovingly transform. One more. Manifestation. Believe in yourself, trust your instincts, and follow your heart, for in doing so, you shall manifest all your heart desires. The life that you have for so long aspired to create will soon manifest. That is so beautiful, and it is so true, bestie. Like, I really do think you really underestimate how much we need your light, because we need it. So start believing yourself and sharing it, because you've been training for this for lifetimes. And you don't want to go through all that training just to not debut, right? Got to debut that brilliant, beautiful soul of yours, right? Okay, so we're going to get some affirmation cards that are meant to help with anxiety. So what affirmations does pile 4 need to hear? All right, they're like, let me tell you right now. Okay, we have, if I were to lose everything I have, what would I miss? I will make time for the things that matter and give less times to the things I wouldn't even miss. Yes, that, yes, yes. I'm sure you're probably thinking yes too. We also have, sometimes it feels like I'm carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. I ground myself and remind myself that Mother Earth has my back. I can feel it in my bones. I let go of any unnecessary baggage. And that's the thing, people will try to put their baggage on you because they're carrying heavy weights, right? That's not yours to carry. If it's their choice to carry their baggage and handle it the way they want to, you have the choice to do the same. We also have, I am already everything I am trying to be. I will see that if I stop for a minute. Yeah, you have everything you need. Like, you don't need to be so hard on yourself. You don't need to be anything other than who you are. And I also think that if you're comparing yourself to people that you look up to, you need to let go of that too, because you're not meant to be the people that you look up to. If you were, you would have been them, but you're not. You're you. Take the people that you look up to as inspiration, but not the blueprint. Do your own thing, do what's right for you, and bring those inspirations to just add more zest to whatever you feel you want to share, or whoever you feel you are. You know what I mean? But on the back of the deck, we have just breathe, let things be, and repeat as many times as necessary. And this one's important too. Let me burp. It's not coming out. I am more important than the things I need to do. I am more important than the things I need to do. I probably need that one too. But with that being said, before I move on to the extended, we're gonna finish off with a card from this thing. Therapy toolkit. So this is where the kind of healing assignment comes in. If you watch the intro, if you're a real one and you watch the intro, not that you're any less real if you didn't, I get it, I'm impatient too. These cards have kind of a prompt on them. So if you want to journal the prompt or like do any work with that, that's kind of like the healing assignment, I guess, for you. But it will not be graded. So if you don't want to do anything, feel free to not do anything. It's just giving you that option, or, you know. So pile 4, what message, or what should pile 4 ponder or reflect on that could be most helpful and healing for them at this time? Ooh, we got this fun guy with the swirls. Let's see what it has to say. Contentment. Contentment, in short, means satisfaction, as in needing no more or no less than exactly what you have in that moment. When something is missing in our lives, we might go to extremes to seek out a relief from our longing. If we are hungry, we may overeat and feel uncomfortable. If we are stressed, we may drink to feel relaxed, but end up over drinking and feel hungover and regretful. If we are lonely, we may seek out casual relations for physical intimacy that may ultimately lead us to feel empty. Contentment lies in recognizing what our real hunger is and addressing and feeding the authentic need. Reflect on your coping strategies and what underlying longings drive your excesses and restraints, and whether you ever substitute being heard, held, and loved with addictions and comforts like food, physical intimacy, alcohol, and exercise. That's an interesting one. So I'm going to zoom into that if you would like to see it. But pile 4, I am going to head over to the extended now. So if you are leaving me here, thank you guys so much for watching. And thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That is one of the simplest and easiest ways to show appreciation for what I do and, you know, just help support me so I can keep doing this. If you'd like to support me in other ways, helping, like getting it extended, incredibly helpful. Liking the video, insanely helpful and free. Same with what, like just letting the ads play. Or if you have ad blocker, putting another window up and like just letting my videos run while they're on mute and have that window, the ad blocker, turned off, insanely helpful as well. I have my candles, so be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off. Also, I have merch and social media, but that's all I have for you guys. Not sure why I had to do that little mouth toot, but thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for letting me channel this message. I really hope it made sense. I hope it wasn't too confusing. But yeah, I'm gonna leave things here. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye.